will finish things off with the kill onto Lackey. Very good defense from Demise there. Happy to sit themselves on site, hold their angles, and just prevent that that diffuser going down all day long there.
Demise showing us a masterclass there in making sure that you've got the ability to deny the plant late on into the round, not getting greedy, not over peaking. They didn't even take that much damage in those final few seconds. T3H really didn't seem to engage or bring any gunfights. They were solely focused on trying to get that diffuser down, and with the amount of plant denial that Demise had in their back pocket, 2 C4s, 3 Toxic Babe canisters, it was more than enough with the time that was spent by T3H, because you know they didn't really need to clear anything out. There was no roamers. Yeah, there was a couple of Capcan devices up there that they would have had to shoot and drone, but that shouldn't be slowing you down all too much. To only have the wall open in the sort of last half of the round, I think it was sort of 1 minute 20-ish, it just isn't quick enough. You know, you need to be giving yourself more time to deal with that deniability that you know teams are going to be bringing downstairs onto basement.
Yeah, and that was something that we both commented on there, with Demise pretty much giving up those top 2 floors. Really, that should, you know, you should be recognising that from your droning phase and from maybe the first 30 seconds of the round. You should be clearing that out on your drones and then moving in, as you say, getting quick control. I think Shatter did hold them off with blue stairs for a little while with the Capcan, but not really very long at all. They were moving down those stairs at about 1 minute 40 or so, so they had an awful lot of time down there to start thinking about getting that plant down. But you know, great plays from Trix on the smoke. Really did his job down there, denying. I think they denied 3 plants overall, so great effort there, and T3H willing to just keep throwing men at it and trying to get that diffuser down. The focus was definitely there to do that, but unfortunately for them in round number 1 it goes the way of Demise, and we're going to see coming into round number 2 then we have Demise now in Tellers and Archives, and it looks like we've not got too much attention being played to that upper floor again from Demise. It looks like they're not too concerned about the vertical game so far today, and if any site is going to come back to bite them a little bit, I think it could be on this one.
Potentially, they've got an interesting sort of castle and impact Trix set up there with Trix over just in the lift. He has got the floor of the hatch broken out, so he's going to be able to drop down if he wishes. And obviously, Legion is going to have the impact grenades that's going to be able to get any sort of bandit trick off. Tank Ninjas does have the diffuser, and he does look tempted to place an exothermic charge on there and try and open it up. Oregon's going to open up the castle, and that really isn't going to give Trix anything to play with. He's going to have to retreat. He's on about 25 health or so. He gets himself back on into the lift. The wall will now be opened, but good time spent there by T3H dealing with that fairly swiftly. They've not spent all too much time on it, and Demise are doing a pretty good job of slowing them down so far. But now what are T3H going to do with that control that they've gained? I think we've got Penguin outside on rappel. He's going to have a nice line of sight down there over into open area. But Demise not revealing themselves all too much at all. Keenan could see some success here if he does place a fire arrow, which he does. He places 2 inside, and that is going to cause Trix some difficulty, but the area of effect, despite its buff, is still not going to be enough. Trix is tucking himself into that side of the wall. He's been droned out now as well. It's surely only a matter of time for the poor Legion until he gets cleaned out. Penguin going to open things up with a kill onto Dowie. Keenan following it up with another one over onto Trix. Early man advantage now for T3H. And what are they going to be able to do with this in the last minute?
1 minute to go then, as you say. We've got Dowie cleared out upstairs, we've got Trix killed out of those elevators, so it pretty much comes down to the 3 anchors on site here for Demise, and T3H now opening that wall up with the thermite as well, so that's just going to start applying even more pressure to site here. 40 seconds to go, and it is time for T3H to start thinking about how they create a position whereby they can get this diffuser down. They obviously recognised the importance last time out, and they really did try to do that, but a great job from Demise in the first round to prevent that plant. As you can see, they are happy to just hold themselves back here in the Archives area with the Alder there just ready to just put shots in and create an unholy havoc, and we have Shattered coming in with the pistol kill onto Oregon, so that brings things back towards the favour of Demise a little bit, but Keenan will get an important kill onto Hippo there, taking the Maestro, and more importantly the Alder off the board. Reese will get one onto Tank Ninjas. We do see the diffuser out of hand, and the defenders will win by keeping themselves alive and again not allowing that diffuser to be planted.
I think Shatter picked up 3 kills in that round. He picked up 2 in the last couple of seconds, and I think because he won both of those gunfights and he was over inside of open area, away from the rest of the pressure from T3H, he was just able to keep himself alive. He did get 2 kills that round. But another good round there from Demise. It seems like T3H are really, really single-minded and really focused on planting this diffuser. And they did get a couple of kills early on in round number 2, but it just wasn't quite enough. They weren't able to do as much as they perhaps wanted to with the control that they had gained. We are going to be moving now, of course, onto a third site, as we have seen 2 successful defending rounds. We're going to be moving upstairs to CEO Lounge, and we're going to see a couple of ACOGs brought. Love to see it.
Demise seem to be playing sort of an onion defence, if you will. They've got layers of defence. So in that one, you had Trix on the Legion, you had Dowie on the Jaeger, and they were like that outer layer. And they were out there to just really sort of hold things off. We can see there the Twitter poll results coming in there. We've got, I think the favour there, I know it doesn't add up to 100, but I believe the favour is actually with Demise. So that's an interesting one, because you might have expected T3H, some good results so far, to have been coming in as the favourites, but Demise certainly not messing about in the first 2 rounds.
You know, we always say about our T3H, we've got a big community behind them as well. There's a lot of people that come out in support of those guys, so it is a little bit surprising that a Twitter poll has not seen, you know, a bit more sway towards the T3H guys. And you know, we'll have to see how the fixture's going. So far, it looks pretty good, and Twitter looks like it could be correct. But we've got plenty of this game left, and it's too early to call at this moment in time. We've, of course, only seen all the sites once, so let's see what T3H are able to do up on CEO. I think, personally, I'm going to be looking for some guys to be playing on the windows. We can see we've got Lackey outside doing some drone work. If he gets himself repelled up onto main windows, that could be some good, you know, some good angles that he could hold from there. We've got Penguin also finding himself on the north windows, so they're going to be able to cause a little bit of disruption to any defenders left in the site, especially if it starts getting uncomfortable, if the wall from Square Stairs gets open. Trix, he's got his sights trained downstairs onto the main door area, and he's aware that it's going to be Lackey, or he's aware at least that it's going to be somebody that's looking to enter on in to the main lobby area there, but he's not really going to want to try and expose himself all too much. You can see, I mean, the story of this game so far has sort of been Trix trying to melt himself into a wall. He seems to be finding these corners and really tucking himself in. Keenan's going to have droned him out there, and that's going to be good intel for the Capitao. T3H are very Capitao heavy, and it is not a bad thing, because they are able to, you know, use those asphyxiating bolts to really push people out. And if Keenan's able to get a shot off there, he could take some valuable hit points off Trix.
Remember, though, that Trix is on the dock there, so he will be able to pick himself up if needs be, but he's not going to take any damage from that first fire arrow. The second will do some, and Lackey perfectly positioned there as his teammate forces Trix out, but that is over half of the round wasted by Trix, and it comes back to what I was saying about Demise here. They've got 1 or 2 players that are playing on the periphery and wasting 1.5, 2 minutes of the round every single time, and then they've got a core playing in on the side, so you've got Shattered, Hippo and Reese, generally speaking. Dowie's joined them this time, but you can see perfectly timed as I say that. Dowie actually drops out and he's off on the roam now to try and make a nuisance of himself and keep extending that time-wasting ability that Demise are showing. So you've got this core that are playing on site, and they're not generally getting challenged until the last 45 seconds or so. They're quite often on 300 HP between them, and they're able to just hold their angles and prevent those diffusers going down. And so far it's working very well. We see it working again. Hippo coming out with the kill on the Alder. Lackey is going to pick up Dowie on the roam there, but that still doesn't address the issue of these core 3 players. They're making good use of Castle to slow things down and again protect these guys on site. We're now down to 25 seconds, and T3H have got an awful lot to do. They have a 1-man advantage, 4 versus 3 at this stage, but they are playing into the angles of Demise. Make no mistake, shots coming out from the Alder again. Reese gets the kill onto Lackey. Penguin trades that straight back out, but we're now down to 10 seconds. They have to start thinking about the diffuser going down, which Oregon will do. This time Shattered finds himself out in the cold, all alone and 1 versus 3. He really has it all to do and can do none of it as Oregon steps in and gets that final kill this time for T3H. Slightly better attack there from T3H, but you could still see Demise's plan and how they are trying to defend.
Dowie, what are you doing? He was working off 0 information there, searching for Lackey. They knew. Demise knew that Lackey was playing downstairs because that's exactly where Trix was shot from. Trix was playing the dock upstairs at the top of main stairs in the corner against the reinforced wall right next to the lift. He gets killed in that position by Lackey. He's going to have a pretty good idea of where that shot has come from. Lackey has pretty much stayed inside a main lobby the whole round on his drone until he was needed, and then he rotated and brought himself back into the fight. Dowie just went chasing that kill on the Jaeger. You could see he wasn't working off any information because he was checking all the windows as he was going. It was just a really missed opportunity there from Demise to, you know, rein things in, all get back into sight. Like you said, the castle barricades were working in their favour. There was plenty of things that, you know, were there as a form of slowing down, and another body on the site in those dying few seconds really could have been the difference there in that round. As it stands, T3H did a really good job of capitalising on that. You can see what they're doing on their attacking rounds is very good because their executes are working to a point, but they're just not as quick as they could be about them. And that's where they're going to need to take advantage of the mistakes that Demise are making and really, you know, get themselves in those winning positions where if you see the Jaeger, you know, in no man's land essentially in the last 40 seconds of the round, get the kill and take advantage of it.
I think that's it. If T3H pick up on what Demise are doing here and they can recognise, right, that's where the two periphery players are this round, so we're going to nip in and we're going to close them out, we're going to get the crossfires on them, we're going to challenge them 2 and 3 on 1. They'll clear them out very quickly rather than having to wait 1 minute 30, 1 minute 45 into the round to have cleared out those first couple of players. If they can do that a little bit quicker, first 45 seconds to a minute say, that gives them 2 minutes to then start really putting pressure onto the 3 that are remaining on site, which is largely the format that we've seen for Demise so far. And when you're trying to defend a site for 2 minutes with 3 of you against 4 or 5, that's when it starts getting really, really tricky. So 30 seconds in, we can see T3H already got good top floor control there. They're going to be moving down into the square lobby area to get that hatch open potentially. We've still got Reese playing around there. We've got Shattered on the blue stairs as well. And that's nearly a minute gone. And really a challenge needs to start coming in at least to clear out these blue stairs.
Yeah, we can see that the square stairs hatch is going to be opened, and that's going to remove any safety from downstairs inside of security. Keenan and Tank Ninja slowly now making their way down into that security area, and they're going to be looking to get this wall open. They are moving slightly quicker than they did back in round number 1, but they're going to have to get this wall open fairly soon and start baiting out that utility because we saw just how much deniability Demise were bringing back in round number 1, and they've pretty much got the exact same lineup now as well. 2 C4s and of course 3 toxic canisters. Trix is going to be poised, ready in wait now to start trying to deny this plant as it does come through. We've got Tank Ninjas, he's going to be attempting to get that down. Reese also placed inside Goldbot. He's going to be able to call everything out for his team. First Toxic Bay canister comes out, and look at that for a placement. Any of you aspiring smoke players, that is exactly where you want to be tossing that canister, and you can see that's going to cut off the plant for at least 15 to 20 seconds. Lackey and Oregon are making some progress up inside of open area. Lackey has taken some damage and he's probably sitting at around 20 or so hit points. Dowie ready and waiting on main stairs as well. He's going to be looking at main stairs and the hatches in case a hatch drop does come through, but that will depend largely on how much canister Maverick has got remaining. Another perfect Toxic Bay canister there, and it's got to be looking pretty good for Demise. I think the last one has just gone off there as well, so down to C4s only in the final 40 seconds.
And look at the rotation amongst them. As soon as Trix has used these smoke Toxic Babes, he's out of there. And you've got Shattered moving in then with his C4 at the ready, and you can see it's ready to go. This throw has been practiced. There you go, bada bing, and there comes the kill onto Tank Ninjas. The Toxic Babes have been practiced. Hippo moving in with a great angle onto Penguin for the second kill. We've then got Shattered backing him up from the corridor. That's the kill onto Lackey, and we're now 2 versus 5. And we're seeing again an almost picture-perfect defence of lockers from Demise. This is something that they have definitely practiced. Keenan manages to move in with some aggression and get himself a couple of kills. Trix will get the kill onto Oregon. Keenan keeps going like a man possessed, but Dowie will put him down in the red corridor and finish things off for Demise. That's 3-1.
Do you think that Shattered's taken the sausage because he's not got any aim at the minute? Is he maybe struggling to find his feet? It's maybe a bit early in the day for him. He's just going, you know what, I'm going to take the shotgun and just delete walls where I know people are behind them. And that's going to be the strategy from here on out. Jokes aside, very good round there again from Demise. T3H really need to come up with some sort of a response for how they're going to attack onto that objective in the future, because the way that it's playing out, it's just a little bit too slow currently. Not leaving themselves enough time to fully bait out all that utility and really not getting themselves in any position to win any sort of gunfights. I'm not sure how contested Garage area is, but
Not at all.
it could be free real estate at this point in time for T3H to just send a drone at least through the garage area. Typically, if you see Echo being available to be played, you might see an Echo playing over inside a garage with one of the yokais watching the garage door and the other yokai over inside, ready to rotate that in and just flicking back onto the first yokai every now and then to make sure your garage is still safe. But you know, no Echo in play. It could be something that's a chink in the armour, I guess, of Demise, but we will not get to see it as we are, of course, moving bomb sites. We're going to be back upstairs. Same rotation to Archives, and this was a site where it came down to the wire last time. The scoreline looks pretty convincing up to this point, but back in round number 2, I think it came down to one gunfight really, and you know, Demise were able to take it away. Had T3H moved slightly quicker, it could have been a different story. We're going to see a very similar setup yet again coming through for the Demise players, although they've not shot out the top of that reinforcement this time, which leads me to believe that they're maybe not looking to impact trick it, but Trix is there ready in wait. So not sure what's going on there in terms of the setup and the preparation. Trix, of course, not being a part of the main roster, if you will. I do believe he's subbing in this evening. Maybe just not comfortable in calling out Reese, saying, look, you need to get the top of this barricade shot open, but what am I to know?
I think, as you said, the setup is very similar here from Demise. If I'm a Demise fan, I'm a little bit concerned at this point because you've got Trix in the elevator there. Surely T3H, that's exactly where they're going to expect him, so they're going to be working in to try and clear him out from there. I'd expect that to be done quite quickly. They pinched him very well last time. I'd like to see Trix maybe utilise that hatch this time and just drop himself away. He moved into the second elevator, which is just a coffin essentially, and that's what happened. In came the Capitao bolts and he was just pinched and finished off. He has nowhere to go from there. If he keeps himself at least hard in this first one, he can get himself down to basement, and then there's 2 ways back upstairs and he can rotate himself around. So there we go. Trix drops himself, and I think that's probably better play from the Legion there to keep himself alive into the later round, but not as much time wasted this time. Demise holding themselves tight on site again. We've got Reese and Hippo in there. We've got Shattered out in open area just to try and prevent a push onto that open wall, no doubt, but also to challenge that corridor as well at the top of main stairs. So quite tentative so far. We're still on 5 versus 5. Shattered's just going to make a little challenge there out onto the Oregon's Ash out in the corridor. He's going to take a little bit of damage for his trouble, but smart plays again. He's going to just play his life, drop himself back deeper into open area. They know he's there, but they can't ignore him because then he's going to come through on a flank. So he's going to take up at least one gun watching that angle. Coming into a minute left. Tentative so far. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, very slow. T3H have gained good control of main lobby area, and I think Tank Ninjas have now got the wall open into A as well, so a plant could be imminent. Reese is going to be lying in wait with any toxic bay canisters he may have to try and deny that plant. We can see Capitao Fireball comes through. Tank Ninjas actually runs through the toxic bay smoke up into the reinforced wall. Reese is going to have a great heads-up play there to shoot the wall open and get another toxic bay canister through, but it is too little too late. That reinforced wall is going to come back to hurt them, as now Demise are in a retake scenario. We do have all 10 players left on the board. Having said that, Keenan's going to open things up with one onto Dowie. Not a lot of hit points left on the side of T3H, and 3 players are only a bullet each. This is very, very doable for Demise, but Tank Ninjas is going to cut down Trix as he tries to rotate his way back on into the site. Shattered, Reese and Hippo now all stuck inside of Archives. Reese makes his way through very aggressively now, shotgun in hand, gets cut down by Keenan. Tank Ninjas and Keenan, they're going to clean up the last 3 kills, and T3H with a really good plant there. It's not often that you see a plant with all 10 players left alive, but the attackers were able to hold that very successfully indeed.
As you said there, I think the reinforced wall doing the job for T3H, and that was, you know, smart plays from them to recognise that. Without that reinforcement there, and I'm sure there is very good reason for it being there, I'm absolutely, just to be clear, not criticising Demise for reinforcing that wall, but it was the difference maker there, because as we saw, Reese moved up, shotgun the wall, got his toxic babe down. It just took too long, did that process. So I think it's either a case of having that pre-shotgun so that you can just go and dump the toxic babe down and have that immediate impact, or alternatively, if that wall isn't reinforced, he just shotguns the actual wall out and probably gets the direct kill onto the planter. But T3H did a very good job there of just controlling the main lobby side of the map. They held Shattered back in open area. You know, I was sort of commented that he might might have managed to take a T3H player up, which he did, but it didn't really matter because he didn't have any impact. And T3H still had the manpower to get into there and get that diffuser down. So great players there on the attack. I think Demise really need to be taking this defensive round. As you commented earlier, X, they've got a situation whereby they are likely to be stronger on the defence than the attack. Although, sorry T3H, that's probably Caster's curse now, and they'll come out absolutely amazing on the attack. But we would expect them to be a little bit stronger on the defence, being that they've got a couple of pickup players there. Meanwhile, as you commented at the introduction section, we've got T3H, who so far have been very strong defensively. So I think if this comes out 3 versus 3, that might be a bit of an uphill battle for Demise then when they get onto the attack.
Yeah, it really could be, and you know, at 3-3, it's almost got draw written all over it at that moment in time. But these teams very well matched so far. It's not as much through mistake; it's through opportunity that either side is coming out victorious on whichever side we are looking at. We're almost into a bit of new territory now, as we're having to see Demise shift things up a little bit. They are going back down to lockers, back down to archive and tellers again. This time we're seeing a bit of an operator change. We're seeing Trix now favour the bandit, and he's going to try and bandit that wall over into the small area and joining onto main lobby. Now that could really slow T3H down, because dealing with those bandits is they're going to have to expose themselves quite a lot. They're going to have to open up that castle barricade. They could perhaps do all that from main window. I'm not sure if there is an exact angle onto it, but at least they're going to have to get into main door area and look to push on that way. Tank Ninjas has made his way there, but they are going to be greeted with the bandit batteries, and it is now a point of how T3H are able to adapt and deal with this, because so far they've tried to do the same thing on every single attack. But there we go, Penguin is able to take out Trix. I'm not sure where that was forward. Look at that angle from the Nomad through the top of the wall, and that is going to be a beautiful kill there. Not even too sure why that is open now, as it is bandited. There's no one playing there with an impact to impact trick it. It's a little bit of a strange one, but I guess a great heads-up play there from Penguin, seeing that opportunity and holding that angle and just catching Trix unawares and unprepared. It's going to, of course, be a C4 off the table as well. The wall will now be opened, as will the castle barricade, and so far T3H are pretty much on track to now open up into tellers into A. Pretty much exactly what they did back in round number 5.
Demise are going to be looking to hold the archives and tellers site a little bit harder than they did last time. It looks like they've left that wall unreinforced this time, so they've got the option of shotgunning it out should that plant come in. As you said, very good players from Penguin there, 200 IQ players and great map knowledge, getting up on the rappel there upside down to get the angle through to where he knew Trix was going to be playing. He's played there every one of 3 rounds so far that they've defended on this site, so no surprises there. We've got Dowie upstairs, so far yet to make much of an impact on this game. Dowie really needs to step up for his team here. He's got that flank opportunity from upstairs, but he's been spotted. He's getting pinned down from the rappel. It's going to be very difficult for him to have too much of an impact, but he's left trying to challenge windows with the Jaeger. Oh, and he's going to lose his life as Oregon moves up and gets the kill. And again, that's great work from T3H there. Just combining, you've got Oregon as this sort of floating roam clear on the ash. He's holding people in open area. He's moving upstairs and taking the roamers from the top floor. Great plays from Oregon, using the information that's being fed back in from the player on rappel. So I really like what I'm seeing here from Penguin, from Oregon particularly. We've got the plant coming in now from Tank Ninjas. Penguin gets another kill onto Shattered. Hippo with a huge play there, moving in and getting himself a kill. Reese with a second onto Lackey. That's going to leave us now 1 versus 3. Hippo really has it all to do. He does not have the ammo in the Maestro to stop the plant going down, so Keenan will be successfully, will get himself a second kill there from his Maestro cam, but he now has to move in and retake site. He's 1 versus 2. It looks like Penguin is actually down. He is, so we now come to a 1 versus 1. This could be a huge clutch for Hippo here. We know he's got the gun to do it, the Alder. Just press that trigger and keep on holding, but he's got Oregon with the Ash. It looks like he's on the G36C. He has brought the ACOG. He's surely going to hear the heavy operator of Maestro moving around. He does put some initial shots in. He knows where he's going. Who's going to win the gunfight? Great pre-fire from Hippo there to get the kill. He needs to move quickly, get onto this diffuser, and he will have time. 1 versus 2 from Hippo. He's really stepped up for his team, and he's just short. I really thought he had the time.
Oh, Hippo.
So devastated for him. What a play from Hippo there. He really did deserve that one.
And I think a two-speed operator, and you get that.
I think he was like half a second short.
I think a two-speed operator, and you get. I was a bit worried at the point where we saw him going upstairs at like 18 seconds left. He was going up the top of square stairs, and I was thinking, why? Like, if there's an attacker up there, just leave him. He's not going to be able to impact the round. Just try and deny this plant. He was able to jump onto his evil eyes and do some damage and pick up a kill with the evil eye, which is always great to see, but not quite enough in the end, and that will take us to 3-3. Keenan there with 10 kills on the side of T3H, really stepping up there in the frag department for his team. What a first half we've seen. It's been quite close. I think the scoreboard's very reflective of the gameplay that we've seen up to this moment in time. Some really good defensive rounds there from Demise, but equally some very good attacks from T3H. A lot of focus on getting the diffuser down, and I think that's good because it gives them a very good direct purpose and a direct plan and strategy. And they're obviously working with that, and they're working around that to use that as a position to, right, on attack, our job is going to be to get the diffuser down. We're not going to go chasing all the roamers in the world. We're going to pick up the kills where we can, get the opening into sight, and then try and get the plant down. And it's not done them too badly so far. One point I would like to make is I can't help but think that Demise needed a little bit more flexibility and adaptation in the way that they defended on the side of Archive and Tellers, because we saw Shattered have some success inside of open area when they played that first in round number 2. But they played it twice since, and he just didn't really have that much of an impact. I'd like to see him maybe rotate back into sight, through the small office, over into Archives, and rejoin the fight there in some capacity. As it was almost like he was just, you know, keeping himself out there on the off chance that T3H were going to push that way, when the reality was, I think the information could have been there to understand that T3H were, you know, heavy pushing from the main lobby side. But that's just a little bit of, I don't know, is that kind of here or there at this point. We're moving on. We're into the switch of the sides. It is going to be Demise's turn to show us what they've got on attack, and T3H to show us what they have on defense. So far in the season, we've seen T3H do some pretty good things on the defense, so we'll have to see what they've got for us this evening.
We've got Oregon out there on the blue stairs. He's got the utility, he's got the shield, he's got the ADS, and he's just looking to make a challenge. If he can pick up a cheap kill from here, that will be a great start for T3H, and it's going to be for Demise to clear this out. Now, they have opened the hatch, which is going to force Oregon away from blue stairs. He's going to have to just abandon that position now, because obviously it leaves the danger of him being sort of pinched and caught out if he were to drop that hatch as well. And also the angle from there means that he can't move out of that door if he doesn't do it quickly. So that is going to give top floor control largely to Demise. We've got Trix just out there outside of open area, and he's watching those main stairs, and that might not be too bad a shout, because we can see Keenan on the Jaeger there just holding himself on the first flight, ready to potentially look for a flank. And I think that's something that I was missing from Demise on the defence. They're a new team, and it's certainly not a criticism. As you said, X, they've got a way of defending things, and they tend to do the same thing at the minute. I think they just need a little bit more fluidity to say, actually, we need to get a couple of people on the roam here and start hassling the flanks. They didn't really have any success on the roam game, and so they were setting out the stall at the beginning of the map and trying to do that for 3 minutes, no question. So yeah, just able to switch it up a little bit would be better now. That could be quite dangerous. Keenan's got that first kill onto Trix, and that's going to clear the flank out. So that's going to allow Keenan to push up through open area if he chooses in the late round. We also get a second kill coming in from Penguin as well, so that's now going to leave us 5 versus 3. And this, as we commented, is not too much of a surprise. We've seen very good defence so far from T3H in this Premiership season, and it looks like that is likely to continue here as shots come in onto Dawit as well. Using that man advantage well now. They know they're not going to be pushed from Garage, so it looks like we've got Penguin out there with the Outer. Keenan with another kill on those main stairs. As you can see there, Penguin on the Outer just holding that long angle from Garage with the ACOG all the way through to that plant site. If they don't move him along, they are going to find things very difficult. And Demise there, late round, just running out of ideas a little, I think, and having to drop the hatch and just try to push things, and unfortunately it didn't work. A quick double coming in for T3H, and that will give them their first defensive round in the books, and they go ahead for the first time in this match on Bank.
It's always a shame when you see a team do so well defending a certain site and then they come to attack it, and pretty much the same strategy is used against them, and they just really crumble. It's like they don't know the weaknesses in their own defence, because Garage again there was such a key point. Had they taken Penguin out off the Alder off the Maestro with the Alder that had the long angle all the way through the soft wall, through the bars and over on into security, it could have been a really different round. You know, you take all of a sudden you take that pressure off, you have a little bit more control of the plant area, and you can start trying to bait utility out then, as opposed to challenging that long angle or, you know, risk getting shot through it. So it would have been nice maybe to see a little bit of a push through Garage there. I know it's something we've kind of called for earlier on, and maybe a little bit of Thatcher play as well. Thatcher could be very useful in disabling the pulse scanner down in Gold Vault. That wouldn't give a clear indication as to how many players were stacking up inside of security. Something else to maybe consider and think about. But of course, operators are all picked, you know, based on what that team needs, and sometimes the Thatcher isn't something that the team does believe they need, because they've got a bit of a different idea of how to do things. But I do think Thatcher's got quite a bit of value, especially with the nerf over onto Maestro and the way that he can deal with Evil Eye cameras relatively easily now as well. But we're going to be moving on, round number 8, and we are seeing a different bomb site. The first time we are going to be seeing it staff room and open area. Not all that popular of a bomb site in terms of bank. It is, it's going to be, I think, last pick on everybody's list, I think. So for T3H to be bringing it out here, what have they got to show us? What are they going to do that's a bit different? I'm expecting them to hold this in a way that, you know, maybe Demise aren't expecting this bomb site at this point in time. Maybe they're expecting the lockers and archive. I mean, the way that you attack it is kind of the same. You're going to want to look to take control of key areas, main lobby being one of those, and maybe some vertical pressure. Something we've not seen so far is any vertical pressure whatsoever.
No, that's it. There's not really been any top floor control gained whatsoever in the rounds where we haven't had a CEO objective, and that's quite unusual on bank. You generally see that area utilised, especially for a Teller's Archives hold, but it is equally true here. If you get yourself into stock, the floor is destructible. If you keep control of that, you can gain some nice angles down into the bomb site, and you can start making a real nuisance of yourself. As it is, IQ is going to fall very, very early as Penguin finishes things off there on the Maestro, but it was Valkyrie who did all the work. Lackey just popping out there, almost certainly saw him on the cam that he was trying to take out, and he will step out and get that kill. So that will start things off, taking tricks on the board, and he just took his eye off the ball a little bit there, and we can see that Lackey still has at least one of those Valkyrie cams still in operation, and with IQ gone, that is likely to remain. But interestingly, we're going to see some of that top floor control and vertical play that we were questioning there. We're going to have shots coming in onto Oregon, I believe, from a vertical angle. We've got Dowit, Hippo and Shattered all upstairs, and they have free roam up there. They've got a hatch open, and they are going to look to start applying some pressure. Reese getting a nice kill from that main lobby control that you said early on was important, X. So that's going to level things up now. That is Oregon finished off, and that is Legion gone. That's an important one. So he's one of the operators that has utility based on how long he remains alive in the round. So those lost goo mines could be quite important in the late round if we look at managing to get into site and start getting a plant down. We can see now Demise has got good top floor control. They need to start using it. 45 seconds to go.
What are they going to be able to do with this control? It's all well and good getting it, but you've got to be able to do something with it. The wall, oh sorry, the window into open area will be open there, but Penguin is going to be holding that at a bit of an unpredictable angle. It's not something that's going to be too easy to check or pre-fire onto for Dowie, who is going to be outside. With the time ticking down the way that it is, he's almost going to be left with no choice but to just vault in. Hippo trades out with Lackey and Keenan, and all of a sudden the man count is equal again. Oh, look at that from Penguin, a nice 2k there. Reese comes in with a kill onto Tank Ninjas beforehand, but he's instantly traded out. Penguin, the man of the hour with the Alder, cleaning up for his team.
I think I said before this game that Penguin had a bit of a rough week last week when we saw Maestro banned out. If you allow Penguin onto Maestro, he is going to get kills. I think that much we have learnt this week and the first week. A great little angle there from him, just vaulting himself up onto, I think it's a table just next to window there, and it just meant that as they were coming through, they just weren't trained in the right area to be winning that fight. Look at Keenan and Penguin up at the top there, 13 and 10, and that was something I commented on coming into this match, was that so far we've only seen a couple of players for T3H really breaking the boundary of that 1KD on an average, and they needed other players to start stepping up and getting those kills, and that's exactly what's happening today, and that makes them a mouth-watering prospect.
I mean, there's only so many kills to go around, and when you've got 23 kills between two players, I think it is fair to say the rest of the team are going to be struggling. You can see the rest of T3H there sitting on 3 apiece. It isn't a reflection of their performance one little bit. We've seen Lackey doing good work in his drone. His drone has led to a good couple of kills on attack, and then, you know, Penguin just finding himself right place, right time, and a brilliant mechanical skill and reaction there to flick around and get those couple of kills in the dying seconds of that last round, round number 8. So really hats off to the T3H guys there, doing a great job of supporting each other, and it does just go to show that you know, you just need a couple of people to have a decent game. You need a good fragger that you can rely on, someone else in the team that's able to step up and pick up those kills, and things do start to shift. So far, Demise, they're not, that last attacking round, I really think that they got caught off guard with the open pick. It didn't look like they had a clear idea of what they wanted to do. I couldn't believe Trix and how early he died. There must have been 0 drone work done there, which it's almost unforgivable at that point in the round. It was maybe 15-20 seconds into the round. Inside the building as IQ, trying to find Valkyrie cameras and any electronics, and it's almost no surprise that he could get picked off in the way that he did. But we are moving now onto a top floor hold, and we are going to get Trix returning the favour this time. Caster's Curse for Oregon, I'm afraid. Trix now, he's going to be the one that gets the kill within the first 40 or so seconds. That repel just being very powerful indeed, especially when you couple it with an ACOG. Lackey's going to respond with one of his own before being traded out by Shattered. So man count still in Demise's favour, and this is probably one of the more quicker rounds that we've seen as we are breaching the 2-minute mark, but we've seen a bit of action early doors. Now, what are Demise going to be able to do? There's 2 players from T3H that are going to be upstairs. We're going to have we're going to have Keenan playing on Cade. Penguin is going to get cut down. I'm not sure where that is from. Could be from the main the main window, as Shattered is going to be the one that cleans that one up on his roam play upstairs. He's still going to have Keenan to deal with. I'm not sure if he is aware. It looks as though he's possibly able to hear something, but not really working off any much drone work. The pings come through and the down is achieved. Another T3H player is going to make his way upstairs now, and it's going to be Tank Ninjas in the 1 versus 4. A lot of time left, but with that fast fire rate of the MX4, he's not going to be able to engage at much long range or multiple enemies, because you are just going to burn through those bullets. You're going to come up against Shattered here and going to be gifted with a free kill, breaking them down and picking it up into a 1 versus 3. Still a lot of work to do, and I'm sure that Demise are going to be looking to get a diffuser down pretty soon, as the site has been clear for a good 40 seconds or so now. Nade comes through, and that is just going to force off the diffuser for Dowie. He's going to be able to get a couple of pre-fire shots through. The Bailiff comes out, just trying to open up that wall. He does, in fact, get the down, and he gets the knife kill over onto Reese. All of a sudden, we find ourselves in a 1 versus 1, effectively, because Dowie is down. And now, Tank Ninjas, all he's got to do is stay alive. He's just going to try and guard that diffuser. It is on the floor. It is not planted, and Trix has it all to do. He's going to be allowed the breathing room to revive his teammate, bringing this back into a 2 versus 1, and then he picks up the kill. He gets the first kill of the round and the last kill of the round. Demise, you didn't make it easy for yourselves, but you got there in the end.
Demise are going to be extremely grateful to Trix there, just finishing things off. I've got to question what's happening there. You know that you're in a 4 versus 1 effectively. When Shattered gets taken out upstairs, it becomes 3 versus 1, but you've got a clear call out. Alibi is upstairs near stockroom. You have to be getting into site as a matter of urgency and getting that diffuser down. Then you've got 3 men, so you can watch square, you can watch main lobby side. They're the only 2 angles that Alibi can move from to make a direct impact on that plant. She can come down main stairs, but there's no way directly back into sight for her from there. So the opportunity was there to ensure that they got that plant down. Obviously, maybe a little bit concerned about those vertical angles that have been opened up upstairs, but I just feel like, you know, that really needed to be more of a priority, and that is what made it so difficult for them come the end of that round. But a good win nonetheless. Trix finishing things off for Demise, so that will bring us back to 5 versus 4. A little bit of confidence for Demise there, but we're back onto that Walker's site, which they weren't really anywhere near on the first time that they came out in round 7 to attack that one. I'd really like to see some garage attention here, X.
Yeah, garage attention is going to be key. No doubt Penguin is going to play in the sort of the breach between garage and the lockers area. That's going to be his domain, and you're going to want to try and root him out of there. The best way to do that is going to be to go through garage, and it is going to be to get some sneaky drone work on him and then apply some pressure. Oregon is going to be placing a Valkyrie camera downstairs in garage. That could slow things down a little bit, but if Trix is able to find it with his IQ scanner, that would be probably the best use of his utility in this round. If all they're able to do is root Penguin out of that power position there. Trix has redeemed himself now in my eyes from round number 8 dying first blood by clutching it up last round. So let's keep the train going and let's do some great things in this round as well. Looks as though we're going to see a bit of early repel work. It can be handy in the first couple of seconds just to get on that repel and just to see if you can find anyone on a late reinforce, or someone that's a defender that's maybe caught out unawares, placing that late Valkyrie camera, placing that late goo mine. It does sometimes happen. The drone work will come through as well, but it's only going to be a matter of time until Demise realise that we've got all of the T3H players on site, aside from Oregon, who is of course going to be playing a slightly aggressive in blue stairs. Demise now make their way through into main lobby and over into Tellers, and I do hope they're not going to go for a backside push, because they do tend to end one way. If this is just a good way of getting some site control, then I'm all for that. We can see the Nomad comes through there from Hippo as well. Another good piece of adaptation. They've noticed how well Keenan flanked last time, and that's just really cut that option off for him now in terms of moving up main stairs. He's going to have to either shoot out the air jab, or he's going to risk detonating it. It looks as though we are going to see Nomad just dip out onto the roof above garage, and yes, Trix and Hippo, they're coming through for the team. Penguin and Keenan, are they going to be aware? I mean, the game's been given away now by Hippo. It's not going to be a sneaky attempt onto garage. He's going to have to brute force and shoot the way in, but it is more than possible.
There's going to be challenges to be made, that much is for sure. Tank Ninjas comes out with the first kill onto Reese, and that could be a big one, but we can see that one of those T3H players is downed and out as Hippo finishes Penguin off, and that is the big kill. That is the one we were talking about. Penguin from the garage through that murder hole onto the plant site, did an awful lot of damage last time out. We can see that Lackey's taken some real shots on the pulse as well, and that could be some good plant deniability. If they can finish that kill off, that will be a C4 off the board. Trix has taken some damage in the process of getting there, but he's okay. Yeah, he's still fighting, and it looks like Shattered is just looking over towards that gold vault area. He knows that there's somebody in there. He's going to put his concussion mine down there. He's not going to be able to follow that in. Keenan, meanwhile, gets the kill onto Dowie, and that's the thermite gone now. If the wall isn't open from server, that could be a big one, and it's going to force them to do something different here. We've got Oregon and Tank Ninjas out on the roam, and things are getting a little bit sloppy from Demise here as we see the Nomad of Hippo being down. Trix is downed as well. Lackey having a little bit of a field day out around garage. Shattered will drop the elevator, but he doesn't have much time left at all. He doesn't have the diffuser. He does have the diffuser. He's now looking to get it down, but he's going to have to make challenges. Unfortunately, he doesn't manage to get the kills that he needed. I think, it's reasonable to say if he goes to the plant there, he knows he's going to lose his life anyway, but if he doesn't, he loses the round. So
I think he had Tank Ninjas down in gold, though. I think Tank Ninjas was down through the metal bar, through the bulletproof metal bars, it is worth stating. So it could have been a possibility, but it would have been very difficult to pull it off in the end. A good attempt there from Demise, good adaptation. They got pretty much steamrolled on the first attack down in lockers back in round number 7. Revisited it now in round number 10, and they did things differently, which is great to see. Some things worked very well. I think taking over the garage control was really good. Maybe at that point, once you've got one person established in garage, you need to rotate the other out and have them rejoin the fight from a different angle. It is a difficult rotate, and it is a long way. Someone like IQ, 3-speed operator, more than capable of doing that rotation. But yeah, a bit of a tough round there from Demise, but T3H changed well on the fly, noticed that the push was coming in from elsewhere. It didn't take them long really to figure out that the garage push was coming through. The Valkyrie cam information must have been on point, as it was Valkyrie and it was Lackey and Keenan that were down there making sure that Penguin, I think, and Lackey, they were making sure that the garage was held for as long as possible. So it did work very well there from T3H. Good adaptation on that defensive phase for them. Not expecting the norm, making sure that they're aware of different possibilities, and that's the mark of a good team on defense, if they're able to change things up on the fly like that. We are going to move now into open area again. This is again somewhere that T3H defended very well. Demise struggling so far. They've only managed to pick up 1 round on attack.
Demise last time out on open area back in round number 8 just didn't really seem to have too much of an idea how to actually approach site. They got themselves into a few areas quite successfully. They held main lobby, they got themselves some top floor control, they opened the hatches, and then they just sort of stalled out. They didn't really know what to do with that. They still had a number of T3H players on site. They didn't know whether to drop the hatches, whether to try and push the doors. They all ended up piling in through a window, which ultimately led to Penguin just cutting them down one at a time as they came in on the vault. So they're going to have to adapt to that quite quickly and do something differently. They've already shown the ability to do that on attack, so that's what I do like about this Demise side, is they're not scared of trying new things on the attack. It's more difficult on defence, I think, sometimes to try new things because the strategies tend to be a little bit more structured about what you're trying to achieve, whereas on attack you can sort of just mix it up even mid-round if you need to, because you're not trying to play that utility game quite the same. So looking a minute into the round, not much progress from Demise here, and I'm a little bit concerned for them that we're going to see a similar outcome to last time where they just stall out and don't really know how to push with those operators still in tellers and archives.
I mean, the bright side for Demise at this point is that Trix is still alive. Yep. He's got himself out on the rappel. He's pretty much covering Shattered at this moment in time, along with Hippo, as upstairs control is being gained. Trix has now got a nice long line of sight down through into the entrance to open area, and he could be rewarded with a kill from there, but it seems a little bit strange to have your IQ on that task. IQ should be trying to clear out electronics. We do have Valkyrie cameras, we do have Evil Eyes. They can be identified and need to be identified for the attackers to know where they are and to try to deal with them. So to have your IQ on the flank watch, it could be a little bit of a waste of that utility. However, Trix has proved himself already with that gun and is doing some great work so far. But this is match point, and Demise are going to want to try and take this round to stay in it and at least try and clutch a draw in this, second, I guess, game for them in the Premiership. First one, of course, on stream. Reese is making his way in now. Lackey and Oregon picking up back-to-back kills as it does approach a 5 versus 3 with 40 seconds left. Oregon's on a tear. He's going to find the head of Shattered. It's now all falling to Reese and Trix. I believe Trix is still outside on the rappel, so Reese all alone inside of Tellers. He's going to toss out some flashbangs. He's going to have to go big here. He's going to have to try and get some kills under his belt. I think he's still aware someone's behind him inside of open, but he's not bothering. He's trying to get himself all the way in and challenge over onto Penguin. Tank Ninjas is going to be there with the SMG-11 at the doorway to cut him down. Trix, last man standing. What is he going to be able to do? It's a tall order to ace clutch this with 5 seconds left. And I think at this moment in time, T3H are going to be pretty happy with the result of this first game for them this evening, as they are going to be victorious.
A tall order indeed, I think is a fair description there, X, of the 1 versus 5 clutch required with 5 seconds to go. Great win there from T3H. As I said, a couple of the other players just stepping up and showing that form that we've seen. We saw it from Penguin in week 1. He had a little bit of a slip week 2, but he's played very, very well this week. I did name him before the game started as well as one to watch potentially, and I just felt like if he got those operators that he was a little bit more confident with the Maestro particularly, which we saw, that he was going to have a better game, and he did. And look at the result for T3H. Done in 11 rounds this time instead of 12, so it's coming down.
It's getting there. Maybe by week 7 we'll find ourselves down around about the 7 mark. Fingers crossed for the guys. And I've got to say, you called it very much so at the game start as well. Defence is where T3H seem to be very comfortable, and Bank especially looks like the kind of map they wanted to go to. They look very much so methodical and prepared in the second half. First one, or first half at least, 3-3, very back and forth.
Yeah, it was, very back and forth indeed. I think that the way that T3H defended, it was quite representative of what we expected. We were expecting them to defend in sort of, a very solid way, very methodical way, like you say. But they did some great things on attack, and they took advantage of some mistakes that Demise made.
Absolutely, and several times, I mean, you called it yourself in that as well. Keenan going absolutely huge. So I think about 15, 16 kills towards the very end of that. Guy was an absolute machine, whereas you look on Demise's side, yes, there were 3 members sat on about 8 kills each, but that was really all they had going for them.
Yeah, you look at Keenan week 1 and 2, 7 kills week 1, 8 kills week 2, so certainly not shoddy, but coming out big today, and that is exactly what T3H need. Like I say, they've got those couple of players that have played well, but they just need them to sort of step it up to that next level again, and that's going to put them in contention for top 3, and that is where I'm sure T3H would like to be looking at the roster that they've got. So yeah, great players, and that is very, very promising. I don't want to get too much on Demise's back here though, let's be honest. This is their second week in Prem. It's actually the second game inside of a week, with the other one being played out of schedule off stream. And they've done very well. They've done very well again. What we see there is very promising. They just need time to develop the strat book a little bit more and just start to play a bit more fluidly.
And you say back in terms of strat book, back in the first couple of rounds when they were on defense, they ran the clock down both times for T3H, and it almost made T3H look like they were struggling to find an answer to Demise. And yes, T3H did adapt as the series went by, but I definitely think you can say there are some promising signs for Demise, like you say.
Yeah, I think it almost became a bit of a mental game for Demise, because some of the mistakes that they were making were just, it just seemed like a little bit too much aggression, a little bit too much, you know, not recklessness, but they could have just done to rein it in a couple of rounds, and we could have seen a very different game had they done so. But that's just something that's going to come with experience and playing together. And you know, of course, they were playing with, you know, 2 guys that aren't on the main roster. So it is to be expected they're not going to do all too well. I mean, this attempt from Tank Ninjas, it was almost scary at that moment in time. He took it from a 1v4 right down to a 1v1. Player got revived, and Tricks came in big at the end. But yeah, very scary round that. It could have been a. I think it would have been the Prem VP, put it that way, if you'd have clutched out that one. But who knows? Who knows what that will be? There's
always moments like that as well, where you can stand up and clutch, or sometimes you fall just short. And obviously in this case, it was just short for Tank Ninjas. But either way, we want to know who you think didn't come up short in this match as well. Get yourself involved on Twitter once again and get voting for who was your player of the match between these 2 teams. I think there's a case for a few in there as well. Like you say, yeah. Tank Ninjas coming pretty close, yeah. Keenan being top of the fragging board. But again, some promising signs coming out of Demise, which I don't think we can ignore. No.
Let's not forget Hippo. What an attempt that was. Honestly, I was convinced that he had enough time to get that diffuser. I was just so excited. You know, he's come in as a sub, and what an attempt. He did everything right in there. The pre-fire headshot when he was coming round Teller's desk, that was absolutely beautiful use of the Aura. And like you say, on a 2-speed, I think he probably gets that.
Yeah, very much so. And you think about it as well, yes, he's in a spot where he's fantastic at going out with the clutch in the rounds, but clearly not so good at watching the clock, because ultimately that was what came back to bite him. Maybe next time, buddy. I'll be rooting for you the whole way.
I've got your back, Hippo. That was
I believe, mate. It's okay. Just learn to count next week. It'll be fine. So, of course, that is the conclusion of that first game as well. T3H still now sit at 2 wins and 1 draws. Enough in a spot where you think potentially they're going into the second half of, well, not quite the second half. Of course, we are only 3 weeks in. Where they go forward from here thinking, we're in a really good spot here. Yes, some tough games coming up, but we're happy with how we performed to start off this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think T3H is going to be really pleased with their position. And Demise, I don't think they're going to be too worried. They've got a lot of work to do, and I think that they know that. There's still some good games in their locker coming up, I think. And I think once we see them bed in a little bit, that's where we'll see them shine.
Absolutely. Well, we do have an interview available with Lackey now, so we can ask him a few questions about that game and, of course, how they thought it went. Hey, Lackey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good. I imagine you are, yeah. And I've got to ask you first, coming into this, I mean, I imagine now that you've actually won, the nerves, of course, are a bit more settled, but coming into today, Demise, obviously freshly put into the Premiership as well. Were you guys at all concerned coming up against them?
I think we underestimated them a little bit. They put up a really good show for the first couple of rounds. I think definitely they did really, really well. They're definitely going to be a good contender for the rest of the season. Yeah, they played fantastically for the game.
Fair enough. Well, obviously,
and I think they did pretty well in their. I think they did pretty well in their game off stream as well last week.
They did, yes. 7-4, definitely not a bad result. But let's talk more about this map as well. At the very start of this, X said that he thought you guys on your defense looks fantastic in general and was very excited to see how you performed today. First half, a little shaky going 3-3, but that second half definitely more dominant. Was Bank a map you wanted to go to? Had you prepared for it defensively to give such a strong showing?
Yeah, well, we kind of narrowed it down to a couple of maps we'd be playing on. Bank was definitely on the table for us. The first half, as you said, is a bit shaky. We had a bit of miscommunication. The bomb plants were going down in kind of odd positions that we weren't the right positions. We couldn't cover them properly, and ultimately ended up a couple of rounds going a bit awry, where we probably had an advantage a couple of times, especially on the Teller's attack. But in the end, we managed to pull it back at the end.
And that's go on, sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, fair
And
enough.
I'm just happy that we managed to kind of reset the mindset and not get tilted.
Fair enough. Strong mental game, mate. That's what counts here in the Premiership. So final question for you now as well. You're in a spot where you have 2 wins and 1 draw. I think most teams will kill to be in that position after 3 weeks in the Prem. Are you feeling confident that you can make it to playoffs and to the LAN finals?
Yeah, well, obviously with a lot of competitions, it's like top 2 kind of make LAN with Siege, right? But top 4, I think I think we've got a good shot at making the LAN.
Absolutely. Well,
I
if you
really
keep up
do.
defences like that, then I absolutely agree with you. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and I hope we get to see you again in a future week.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
So there you go, boys. Feeling pretty happy by the sounds of it as well. Like he said, coming into maybe underestimated Demise a little bit. Just go to show that sometimes teams that you haven't really seen before can come out and surprise you.
Yeah, very complimentary of Demise there. Classy comments from Lackey there saying how well they played, that they'd underestimated them, maybe didn't expect them to be as organised as they were. And as we tried to impress before the game, this is a team that's been putting in work sort of casually, if you will, not at Premiership level competition, but they've been putting in work before getting here. It's almost like they've been on, chomping at the bit, waiting for that opportunity, and it's fallen in the lap, and they're ready to try and take it. And we've seen some good stuff from Demise tonight.
And it's like we said, they're in a good spot as well to potentially make it into those top 4. Any closing comments from this game, X? Anything you think, looking at those 2 teams, that needs to be revised ahead of next week, maybe?
I think the way that we've seen T3H develop in the space of between first week and this week now, week number 3, very enthusing, Lackey as ever, cool, calm, collected. There really doesn't seem to be anything that phases him.
Strong mental, mate. Strong mental.
I think I'd be a little bit more hyped if I just won the game, but you can see
that's because you haven't won too many games, mate.
Well, maybe so. But no, you can see that they're on the path to doing good things, and they're obviously practicing. They're obviously getting better. And I just hope that Demise are able to sort out some of the roster changes that they've been having, and I'm sure that they're going to come back strong next week.
Well, of course, there are many more weeks yet to come, so plenty of opportunities for teams to continue surprising us. But after the break, we are going to be bringing you Horus versus Wind and Rain. Again, another fantastic game that you do not want to miss. Don't go anywhere. Be back with you very shortly.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Hey guys, welcome back to the ESL Premiership powered by Intel and Gaming from Curry's PC World. We've just seen the end of our first fixture of the evening in a banger of a map on Bank between T3H and Demise, but now we are into game number 2 of the evening. It's going to be Wind and Rain coming up against the new boys in Horus, and of course I've got 2 old boys with me on the desk, about as old as the game itself it feels like. Yes, you're both about 4 years old. Let's talk more about this series.
You wash away a little bit with that one, can you, Des?
I was like, well, saying you're as old as the game doesn't really work, but then implying your children also works pretty well. Of course, you're also star players, so we love them just the same. But let's have a talk about this then. So again, that series then, very interesting, some very tense moments for both teams throughout as well. Coming into this one, we're probably going to see more of the same being realistic, again, given that Horus is one of these new teams coming into Prem.
Yeah, there really is a chance of that. Horus, again, they're going to want to stamp down their authority in the first streamed game that they're going to be playing in the Premiership. It was pretty much a battle, I think, between Horus, Demise and T3H as to who took that spot in the Premiership. And as it happens, we've got all 3 now. So
everyone's happy. It's like a happy ending in a fairy tale.
Everybody's happy, but no, Horus really got to prove themselves tonight. They're going to want to come out strong, and they're going to want to show us what they've got against this Wind and Raiden side.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the roster so you know which player it is that you'll be seeing on your screen tonight. Horus and Wind and Rain are the 2 teams, as mentioned, that we'll be seeing. Tyrant and Kayak, clearly so secretive that we do not have a name for them. They choose to obfuscate it from all online websites. But let's have a quick talk about Horus first and foremost. Again, one of these newer teams, Turtle being one of the players that I remember from last season going absolutely nuts on Bank.
Yep, great player. You know, you look across the roster there, we've got names that we recognise. We've seen Kixer before, we've seen Turtle, Joker, another name that we're familiar with. You know, there really is a lot of potential in this roster. And coming off that last game, as we said, Demise coming in, 0 expectation, just like Horus now. And I'm sure the Horus boys will have been watching that. And what a message for them to take away from it, that, you know, right, let's go out and, you know, give more of the same. Let's see if we can go a step further and actually take a draw or a win and take some points out of Wind and Rain here.
Be very interested to see how Wind and Rain respond, given how well Demise did just play. But let's have a look as well at Horus and their fixtures, I suppose you could say. Of course, with them coming in and replacing another team, you do take on their previous fixture results. They did play against Secret last week on Border and went 7-4. So again, still not a bad result coming in against a former Pro League team, being able to drop at least 4-round wins on a map.
Yeah, I mean, to pick up 4 rounds in a map against Team Secret on Border as well is no mean feat. We all know how Border plays out, can be very gunfight heavy. The strats have been almost done to death, so it really does come down to gunfights. That shows the mechanical skill that Horus have got at their disposal, and if they can translate that a little bit into this week as well, on maybe a bit more of a strat heavy map, of course Border will be banned, then, you know, we could see some good things coming out against Wind and Rain.
Well, it turns out our ace detectives in the production room here at ESL have gone and found out the names of those 2 unknown members on the side of Wind and Rain. It is Luke and Jordan for Tyrant and Kayak. Guys, again, a pretty familiar roster overall. At least 3 of those names, of course, we did see last season. Tyrant as well, Kayak being the new member on the team.
He is. We've seen him come in place of Reese, who absolutely went off in week 1. Kayak slightly quieter week 2, but the team got the result. So that begs the question, is Kayak bringing something a little bit different? You know, not necessarily bringing as many frags as Reese did, but is he bringing something that the team needs a little bit more?
And maybe it is, and that's the secret answer we need. And again, we spoke about these guys an awful lot, that they were at LAN last time round, that they are a team who's going to be fighting for that top spot. But let's have a quick look at how their journey has gone so far. So with a draw and a win on the board, it's definitely not the end of the world. But again, you've got to look towards the end of the season. You can see Secret there in week 5. Na'Vi will follow not long after. It could potentially turn into a few weeks of heartbreak when it comes towards that end of the season if they're not careful.
It could do, but they've got an opportunity now to try and get some points, and if they're able to get these points in the form of wins or even draws, then it's going to take the edge off those later games that could be seen as the harder games in the season as a whole. So I think Wind and Rain are in a pretty good spot at the minute, because they are one of the teams that I'm going to be looking at to be joining us again at LAN. They made it there last time, and there's no real reason why they're not able to do it again. They have got some really good players on their side. I really wouldn't be surprised to see them come away with a third spot, maybe, you know, or a fourth, maybe even a second. You never know what could happen, but I'm certainly looking to see them in the top 4 without a doubt.
And talk to me quickly as well, players on both sides. We mentioned a couple of them there as well, Reese and Kayak being the names on our lips. What players that we're seeing play today as well, outside of Kayak of course, would you say we need to keep an eye out on in this game?
Vex is always a player that you're going to want to watch very carefully, and Blackout as well. The good thing I like about Wind and Rain is they've all got the ability to go crazy, and it just depends on, it's almost like a dice roll of like which one on the night is the one that's just going to go off, because they've all got the ability to go out there and get a crazy amount of kills and to do some serious damage. And with the support network that they've got as a team as well, whoever's not going out there and picking up the frags is the one providing the information. He's the one that's droning for that evening. So it really just doesn't matter almost as to which player it is going to be that's go off, but I'm going to be looking at Vex and Blackout pretty carefully.
And it's like we always say as well, not every single week are you going to have the same top performers. It does vary, and you do need a team with that capability of popping off. But let's look at what map we'll be playing on for this series between these two teams. Gents, please do share your thoughts as and when they come to you.
Coming on to Clubhouse then.
He's a much quicker and sharper gentleman than UX, that's all I'm saying.
I'm just polite.
Carry on, sorry.
Coming on to Clubhouse then. So again, a map that we see can be pretty gunfight heavy, especially down there in the basement. We tend to see that late round bloodbath that we talk about so often. You know, it comes down to the last 15 or 20 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see Wind and Rain on this map. If you look at the last couple of weeks, in the 12 attacking rounds that they've played, they've actually got the diffuser down in 7 of them, and that largely comes down to Blackout. You were already picking out their absolute demon at getting the diffuser down. I think 4 of those 7 plants, or even potentially more, come down to Blackout. And as a team, Wind and Rain are very objective focused, so when you've got an objective like Church Arsenal, which tends to come down to the last 15-20 seconds and everybody just killing each other, it's going to be interesting to see what Wind and Rain do with that.
And we've seen some teams quite previously as well playing very aggressive with a roam when you're playing upstairs, for example, that you'll just sit downstairs around lounge and just be a bit of a nuisance for the most part. And bans also very interesting. We've seen some double hard breach bans in previous seasons, leaving just the Maverick as the only option. And obviously, somewhat recently, we saw the Maverick being able to open up something like Hot Tub Wall, for example, getting the top and the bottom. How much do you think the bans play an impact into this one, especially around those also important hard breach operators like a banner, who when you're assaulting downstairs, you pretty much need on side?
Yeah, I mean, the way that the bans play out, it's key on every map. It's very key on Clubhouse, because it really can just make that downstairs objective not a free win for the defenders, but you've kind of got to go a long way to mess it up, and you've got to lose quite a lot of gunfights when you're in a pretty powerful position just holding an angle onto a doorway. If you're able to remove some of those hard breach bans and you're able to win your rounds on defense, then have a strategy as to how you're going to pick up that slack on attack. That's the key thing.
Absolutely. Well, let's also remind you guys that you can get involved here and vote on who you think is going to win. Is it going to be the new boys in Horus, or is it going to be the experienced, formerly LAN playoff boys on Wind and Rain? Get yourself on Twitter at ESL UK and you can vote. And of course, once again, we will reveal the results of that poll once we get into round 2 and 3. Gents, it's about time to go into the game. Give me your predictions real quick.
Wind and Rain for me.
Yeah, I think Wind and Rain. I think it's going to be close. I think that Horus are going to be able to pick up a good few rounds. But for me, it's got to be Wind and Rain.
Okay then, moving into the second match of the night here, we're going to be seeing Horus Esports against Wind and Rain in week 3 of your ESL Premiership, and we're going to be going all the way to Clubhouse this time. First couple of bans coming in there, X. A little bit of an unexpected Thatcher ban there. The Maverick is, you know, as we would predict, generally speaking, on Clubhouse. You tend to see it every time.
Yeah, I mean, Hibana as well, though, don't forget, Hibana's a really powerful operator to ban out. The Thatcher ban, that is a good one because it's going to remove a bit of ability to sort of destroy any electronics. I'm not too sure about how I feel about that. Wind and Rain have obviously done the homework as to why they have chosen to ban the Thatcher out. I'm not sure if it's an operator that Horus tend to crutch on a little bit, or to try and aid their pushes and speed things up a little bit, because there are, of course, ways of dealing with anything that Thatcher can deal with a different operator. You've just usually got to expose yourself a little bit more, or spend a bit more time gaining a little bit more control, as opposed to just sort of tossing out an EMP grenade. So Thatcher ban coming in pretty big there. We're going to be met with a Cade and a mirror ban as well. No major surprises in that department. Echo being available, not being chosen, unless Vex is going to go for the pick, but no, he's going to switch over onto the Bandit, and Nomad going to come out for Shady as opposed to the Book. So I'm liking what we're seeing so far. We could be seeing a bit of a different coastline. It could be a little bit more attacker, sort of, not favoured, but it could be a bit more kinder to the attackers, having Hibana and Thermite both available.
Not too much of a surprise to see the Bandit coming in from Vex there, especially with Thatcher off the board. It does just give that slight bit more opportunity to keep that double wall closed, although if they can get Capito onto the CCTV window, it's still pretty much going to put pay to the potential for Bandit tricking with those fire arrows, I would imagine, but we'll see just exactly how that one plays out. We can see from Wind and Rain, something that we often see is a lot of consistency in the operators that they choose. If you look at this lineup of operators now, it wouldn't surprise me too much to see this remain throughout their defensive phases with very small tweaks in between, and they tend to make those operators work for the sites rather than trying to change the operators that may be stronger on those sites, and that's something a little bit unique to Wind and Rain, is that consistency of operator picks. So we'll see how that one pans out for them. You know, for example, we've got no Doc here, they've got Blackout on the Maestro, but he's not going to be playing the balcony and garage. You'd usually want to get an ACOG out on there, but that's something that Wind and Rain have forgone. We've got Harris downstairs on the Jaeger. He's just going to make himself a nuisance down in bar. That's going to have to be cleared out, because otherwise he can make some very good challenges and run-outs potentially. So 1 minute in, we've still got some heavy droning going on from Horus Esports. Not too much direct progress yet, but we can see that the hatches are getting opened to allow access to top floor.
Yeah, the hot tub wall, the east wall isn't going to be opened just as of yet, which is a little bit strange. You're going to want to try and open that as early as possible and make that objective a difficult place for the defenders to sit as it stands. Wind and Rain are able to just hold inside of site, inside a CCTV room and inside a cache, although it is going to be Kicks that's going to pick up the first kill over onto Harris. The walls from construction will be opened, so a bit of a different push coming through as to what you would usually expect when attacking onto this bomb site. Horus are going to be opting more for a bedroom and construction push. Blackout there lying in wait. Just head glitching around in and around the bomb. He's got the Alder, so he's got the ability to cut down any attackers that decide to push through. And with no pressure coming in from the other side of the site, up cache stairs, or much pressure through into garage, Wind and Rain could be gifted some free real estate here, and there it is. Vex going to take advantage of a C4 toss outside onto Shady. Great use of the utility there. Not only has he been able to keep that wall bandited, as it hasn't been pushed at all by Horus, but he's able to get a kill with his C4 as well. He will get traded out a little bit late, however, by Turtle. Tyrant just taking out KX there as well. Blackout. How many times do we see Maestros in these kind of positions, holding angles onto the window, just waiting for the attackers to stream on in. Tyrant is downstairs with Mute. I do believe he's got the SMG-11 as well, so could see himself in some sticky gunfights there, as it isn't going to be too kind at a range. He has actually got the machine gun as well, the MP5K. Blackout now coming through with a great pre-fire, but doesn't manage to find the head. It's going to be Kayak that gets the kill over onto Western. Turtle taking out Blackout. Very low health now for Turtle, as it is a 2 versus 2 situation. It is looking pretty good for Wind and Rain in terms of hit points, but no, Tyrant is going to fall, and it's all going to fall down now to Kayak. Is he able to grab this kill? No, the recoil on the SMG isn't being all too kind for him. He's keeping himself alive at this moment in time. Finds one onto Turtle. Effective 1 versus 1 now. Joker is left with no option but to start planting this diffuser with 3 seconds left on the clock. Kayak's going to wait until the time runs out, push on in, and shotgun kill to close things out.
Very cool head from Kayak there, watching the clock closely. He knew that if he went in too soon, he could potentially be challenged, so he just waits for that timer to tick its way all the way down to 0 before moving in and getting that final kill. Great players to mop things up. I thought we were potentially going to see a little bit of a throw from Wind and the Rain there. I thought Blackout was just a little bit unnecessarily aggressive there. He had a good angle on that window with the Maestro. He wasn't really being challenged. There was no direct need for him to jump down and make that challenge in the open like that. He got a few shots on, but then ultimately lost his life for nothing. And easily could have just waited that out for somebody to move in. So maybe just first round nerves a little bit, just getting a little bit carried away and wanting to fire his team up there. But that could well have had the exact opposite impact there. But fortunately, they've come through that one. Now, how about this, X? We're going to see a Fuse. One of the new teams coming in, bringing new ideas maybe.
I mean, it's what you talk about first. Do you talk about the Fuse pick, or do you talk about the fact that we've seen, well, we're into the second round now and we've not seen downstairs yet? It's almost take your pick of things that you don't often see on Clubhouse. Alex, our observer, is very kindly showing us that downstairs
does
is
exist.
Empty, and it does exist. It hasn't been changed. There's been no rework to Clubhouse. Just, Wind and Rain, they're proving themselves. They're saying, you know what, we don't need to go downstairs. We're going to be happy going to cash. We're going to be happy going upstairs into bedroom, and we're going to do our work from there. The Fuse pick, how does this play in? If it was a downstairs objective, if we were looking at downstairs in Arsenal, then you could potentially look to fuse the kitchen floor. You're going to leave yourself open to a potential C4. We're not dealing with that situation because Wind and Rain haven't set up the operators for that situation, so they may have brought a Pulse, they may have brought a Valkyrie, they may have brought a different C4 operator that could gather intel as opposed to just the Bandit for that purpose. Horus, I'm sure, aren't going to be expecting this bomb site, so I'd like to see how the Fuse plays in. Yeah, you could put it on the windows, but the windows don't seem to be castled at this moment in time. It does begs a bit of a question. Turtle there, how are you still alive? Got to be one hit point in a dream, not where you want your Hibana to be within the first 40 seconds of the round. It could look to reset himself, but it is only going to take him up to 20. Still one bullet with most guns at this moment in time. You can hear there, the Fuse cluster charge is going to get detonated, and not only are we seeing a Fuse, we're seeing a Fuse with a shield.
I mean, if nothing else, Fuse does have his use, I suppose, in clearing out utility. If you pump a Fuse charge into a room, it's pretty much going to clear the majority of utility that's in there. It's going to take out the barbed wire and everything else, as we can see that it has done. But you have to argue, it's not about what can Fuse do. It's about what are you restricting yourself to Fuse being able to do by not bringing other operators, and that's the question, really. Is there more value to be found in that 5th spot? And only time will tell as the round develops, but I don't feel like they've put him to too much use yet. He doesn't have... He's brought the shield, so it's not even that he's got the good gun from Fuse, and it's just a little bit confusing. But we've got Nomad out there on the garage roof, just looking to see if he can get an angle into sight there. Weston's going to be looking to drop and start applying a bit of pressure as well. Kayak, I was just going to say, that gun has been shooting for a long time, and I've been sort of trying to talk over it. Kayak obviously having some issues there and has dropped out of the game, so this one will be finished without Kayak, and then we'll try and get him back in, I would imagine, after that. And I don't know about you, but I'm really happy that that gun has actually stopped shooting now.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I was wondering, when did we get 2 Alders on defense? Blackout's going to give us his own little gun show there, as a heck of a lot of utility is being thrown in now by Horus, and the plant will start to go down. It is going to be the round of gunshots as we've got Joker on the Capital LMG. A couple of kills come through very quickly there for Wind and Rain. And unfortunately for Joker, he is going to be cut down. Vexed, what a round. I believe that could have even been an ace. If it wasn't an ace, it was definitely a 4K. Look at the state of this guy, just finding himself in the right place at the right time and able to flick around and pick up those kills.
Outstanding round from Vex there to finish things off. That was really outstanding round from Wind and Rain. They've taken, as you said, not the most popular site, probably the 3rd most popular site in Bedroom, and they've made it their own. They've not defended it exactly as you would expect. You commented that the castle barricades weren't necessarily in the same place that you'd expect. We can see we've got Kayak loaded back in quite quickly there without the players having to leave and return, so we will head straight back into the game for you. We're going to have Kixer bringing that Fuse again. I don't really know what value that Fuse brought to the last round. It got Wind and Rain moving a little bit, but certainly not enough. The utility poured in, they went for the plant, and Wind and Rain were absolutely ready for it and decimated them.
Yeah, I think the repeat fuse pick, if you will, is because they now know that they're going to be looking at a downstairs objective, and they can do whatever it was that they had planned for the fuse in that scenario.
And I, for one, can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a fuse kill with the cluster grenade if it does happen? It is, there's a sort of list in Siege of almost like the finer things in Siege, and I think that's amongst them.
Siege finest.
It really is. It's a Siege finest range. I think you've got Sledge's hammer. If you get a kill with the hammer, if you get a kill with a Twitch drone, if you get a kill with Mozzie controlling the Twitch drone onto Twitch, I think that's the holy grail.
I think it might just be.
And I just can't wait until Mozzie is in the game and we can start seeing stuff like that come through. But moving back into the round, we are going to be looking downstairs into Arsenal and Church, and it's going to be a very typical setup, I imagine, from Wind and Rain. A lot of people playing downstairs on site, not a lot of need to roam all too heavily. Just going to want to try and hold as long as they can downstairs. Try and impact trick, anything that they can, as there is a lot of hard breach destruction available on the attacking side, and Horus are going to be bringing everything that they have at their availability, or at their disposal, should I say, in terms of dealing with those reinforced hatches.
So we are now 30 seconds into the round. We can see that we've got Wind and Rain largely downstairs. Not too much of a surprise. We don't tend to see too much of a roam game for Church and Arsenal. It's more about controlling your downstairs areas. We do have Harris downstairs on the pulse here. Is he going to go for the C4 toss? He will. All he's going to get himself, I would imagine, is a breaching charge, but all he's done is the same job in reverse. He will start putting shots up to potentially try and stop that fuse charge as he sees the heartbeat sensor feeding back that information. He has taken quite a bit of damage there, and the fuse charge will not do them any good. But I tell you one thing the fuse charge does do in this situation, and that is stop the potential for that reverse impact trick to clear off the hatch when it's being opened, because it moves everybody out of that area and they detonated the charge at the same time. So it would appear that that's the major reason for them bringing that fuse, is so that they can just defend that hatch before they place the charges on there, so that people cannot use the impact trick.
Yeah, high risk, high reward. There was a good chance of Harris being able to pull off that C4 toss there. As it stands, it's worked out in Horus's favour. It has taken a lot of time. We are moving into the final minute or so, and not all too much control has been gained. I don't think that they've got much control of Garage or Blue Stairs. You can hear more fuse cluster charges raining on through. Harris doing his best to keep himself alive. Capital, asphyxiating bolts are going to come through, and does the drop as well. Joker's going to find a low hit point Harris with one of those charges, as Turtle picks up another kill for his trouble. Weston is getting the diffuser down, and it is going to be a retake situation now for the players of Wind and Rain. Tyrant almost certainly going to win this gunfight, but no, bit of potato from both sides. Does finish things off with a beautiful knife there, taking us into a 3 versus 2. Horus now have to try and defend this plant. Blackout, full health, plenty of bullets to retake onto this site. Is he going to be able to do so? That reinforcement is going to come to play against him. Joker is going to find onto Tyrant, so it now is all down to Blackout in a 1 versus 3. He picks up the first one onto Shady. He's got a player on the hatch as well to try and contend with, and a lot of that floor is opened at this moment in time. Air jab coming in clutch there, and Weston picking up that final kill. Not often you see an attack in round 1 over on Arsenal.
Very well placed air jab there, just to prevent Blackout moving in. Always a dangerous gun, as we've commented, the Alder. 80 plus rounds, so he could have just come round that corner, absolutely wailing bullets down there. But the air jab just cut him short in his tracks, and it was a very easy job for Horus Esports to finish that off. I'm glad to see Horus take a defensive round. I never like to see a runaway match too much. I don't want to see anybody getting whitewashed. I want a really good competition, a really good competitive match out of it. And Horus just coming back and getting that defensive round knocked off the board there. Church and Arsenal, you'd expect Wind and Rain to be taking the win down there, and Horus have not allowed that. They've come in with a good attack. Not only a good attack, but they've also played Wind and Rain at their own game there, and they've got themselves a plant in the process. They've got the diffuser down and played the objective, and that's something I'd like to see more of, is teams doing that, focusing on the objective and getting that diffuser down, because ultimately that really flips around on its head, and it just really changes the tempo of what's going on, and then all of a sudden, effectively, defenders become attackers, and it just really switches it around. And I like that dynamic when the diffuser was down.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm just waking up to this reality, but it does seem as though in this season of Prem, in the summer season, we're seeing a lot of diffusers get planted, as opposed to previous seasons of Prem. Spring, for example, I don't believe we saw that many diffusers get planted down.
Certainly more so. As I commented before, teams like Wind and Rain, 7 out of 12 attacking rounds so far they've planted. You've got teams like, I know T3H have planted 4 times coming into this week. So yeah, much more common.
And that just shows the level of competition that we've got in the scene at the minute and in the Prem as a whole, is that these teams are having to start planting the diffusers. There's not teams that are mechanically outskilling the other and it's becoming a TDM. It really is becoming about the objective, about the bomb site, the utility, and then trying to get that diffuser down. And it is great to see, because you do see a wider variety of operators coming into the fray. We've already in this season seen so much more Capital than in previous seasons. The addition of Nomad as well. I mean, that was a textbook use of Nomad in that last round to disrupt Blackout on his rotation back on into the site. It really does make for some entertaining viewing indeed. We are moving into round number 4 now, and we're going to be looking at upstairs in CCTV and Cash once again. Now, last time Horus attacked this, they were very bedroom heavy. They came in through the bedroom, they were working a little bit outside on the balcony, and then they ultimately breached in through construction and didn't quite manage to get it down. It did effectively come down to a 1 versus 1, so it could, you know, it was fairly close, but there was a bit of over-aggression that you commented on, Tim, from the side of Wind and Rain, Blackout particularly, maybe just throwing his life a little bit too early, as Tyrant's getting picked off. It's a horrible angle, this, because if you rappel upside down, it's so difficult to see the attacker, but the attacker's got a very good view out onto the balcony, and especially if you double it up with someone just peeking the door at crouch level as well. Tyrant's going to do very well to get out of this with his life, and he could do with some assistance from his teammates. He knows exactly where the guy is, but he just daren't move a muscle. He's 1 bullet at best, but plenty of time has been wasted. You can hear there, exothermic charge is going to go off, and that's going to open the bottom of Garage. So Horus really not paying much attention at all to the east wall, which is a little bit unusual, as that's a main push really that attackers are going to want to try and establish that long, well, that big open line of sight. It just cuts off the site quite a lot. But Tyrant, he is going to fall. He did manage to hold on for a little bit longer, but Shady is going to be the one that deals that finishing blow, as Vexed picks one up onto Joker, getting traded out straight away by Western. 4 versus 3, about 40 seconds left to go.
I'd agree with you on the east wall. I think even if you don't intend to use it necessarily, getting it open just gives such a good line of sight potentially. Thermites of Western, they're going to be opening up the Garage wall, so that's going to free up the plant spot a little bit. If he pops up and takes the bandits off the east wall, he does have Hibana waiting out there. Turtle looking to open up some line of sight possibly. Western not messing about here. This is the second time that we've seen Western getting in on the Thermite to look to get that diffuser down. Harris will get a kill onto Kixer, but the plant will be successful, and things fall heavily in Horus's favour now, because they've got a man out on east balcony who gets the kill. Turtle onto Kayak. We see Western getting one for himself as well on the Thermite. Harris now has it all to go. 1 versus 3. He's going to look to move up. He needs to break these down into 1 versus 1s. He gets the ping in Cash. He will not get the kill. Jumps through the rotation, and it's easy for Shady to just finish him off from the construction area on the Nomad. We see here nice easy shots for him there. Very, very good round from Horus.
Horus really showing themselves to not to be a team to be underestimated, I think, this evening. They've come back on that attacking round. We did, of course, see CCTV back in round number 1. Over in round number 3, they've all of a sudden got a totally different idea about how they want to try and attack onto it, and they execute something that really works quite well. I mean, great heads-up play there coming out from Western. Not only did he just run and do a big play to get the diffuser down in the default plant spot, never mind, but he was still able to get in there and get it down, knowing that his teammates were going to be able to open up that wall, create that. It was almost like a triple crossfire that was coming through at the end. Not only did he get the plan down, but he also was able to get a kill out of it as well. You can't ask for more from your Thermite than that. Really well played there by Horus. And I think Wind and Rain have got a bit of a game on their hands. We did see Kayak disconnect in round number 2 when we last saw Jim, but it didn't hurt Wind and Rain at all, as they were still able to pick up that round. But I think this time Horus are going to be expecting at this pick. We're not seeing the Fuse coming through. We're seeing the Nomad come through. We're seeing more typical operators that you would expect if you're going to be looking to attack onto a gym and bedroom. So Horus are now getting the read a little bit onto Wind and Rain, and they're understanding their their site rotation for Clubhouse and where they're actually going to be going to. So this could be a much closer round.
Yeah, good adaptation from Horus. They certainly had a plan, even with the wrong operators, about how they wanted to attack this site. They had a lot of smoke utility, which they utilised to try and get a plan down. It just wasn't successful when it came down to it. I think ultimately they hadn't got enough kills onto Wind and Rain in order to facilitate that. So that's going to be something that they have to look to do differently here. They need to be looking to clear out Harris on the Jaeger on the roam, Tyrant from the CCTV side. Those two as a minimum really need to go before they can start thinking about getting themselves pushing onto site. Tyrant moving himself back now maybe to be a little bit closer in operation to Vex so that they can look to create crossfires and pick up trades, defend each other. And we've got Blackout just playing in that gym area, tight on the window, and what a great kill. He obviously heard the drop, he blind fires through the barricade and will get a nice headshot onto Kixer with the Alder, and that is more than he could have asked for, I think, at that point. Great start from Blackout there, and for Wind and Rain in general. Things just got a lot more difficult for Horus because that is some important utility that can really support your plant as well, with Zafir going off the board.
Yeah, Zafir is going to be a crucial operator. Turtle with a great heads-up play there, jumping in and getting the kill over onto Blackout. We'll get downed in the process. We are going to see a bit of a risky revive there. If anybody is over inside of CCTV area, they are going to have a field day. It's going to be Kayak that comes through big with the C4. That's going to be Thermite not available as well. So losing quite a bit of utility, Horus. They've not taken all too much control. They do seem to be heavily focused on outside, maybe on the roof, trying to get themselves safe. Looks like they're going to regroup and try and develop some sort of a plan now as to how they want to attack onto this, but with very little map control gained and a man deficit, it's going to be a tall order for them now to try and clutch out this round. Shady now gets himself out onto the balcony just outside of Jim, but he is going to be susceptible as well from anybody playing inside of CCTV area. Tyrant could get a little bit aggressive on this if he does wish. We've got Joker watching the angle over onto the window, but he can't watch everything, and he is going to be he's tied up now essentially, as he's not really adding anything to his squad. Wind and Rain aren't going to peek onto this. There's not a lot of time left. All they've got to do is sit tight and try and run this clock down. Turtle and Joker now have got themselves onto the balcony. Horus really don't look like they've got too much of a clue as to how they want to proceed. They know that they're going to have to win some really key gunfights to some players that are very well established now, holding angles on into the site. We do see the utility come through, but it is not enough. Tyrant's able to get one through onto Turtle. Kayak with another. It's now all down to Joker. He has the LMG, but it won't be enough. Tyrant there ready to cut him down, and a good round coming out there for Wind and Rain. Horus just struggling to have much of an idea once they'd lost a couple of crucial operators. Look at that pre-fire through the smoke. He knows exactly where the window is in that situation.
And that's what Wind and Rain have done well there. They've reduced Horus to basically pushing through a single window, and that is very, very dangerous because, as we've seen, you can only go in one at a time. You're in a vault animation, so you can't even fight back for about a second, and that makes it easy pickings really for Wind and Rain to hold those angles and to just fire in as Horus have to force in through that window. So good plays from Wind and Rain there. They're going to go back down to Church and Arsenal now, and I'm sure they're going to be keen to take an advantage out of this and come 4-2 into their attacking phase. You would generally see Clubhouse is quite well balanced, but you would generally see probably more defensive wins than not. So we will see them downstairs. What do they need to do differently here, X? They've got no fuse on the side of Horus, so they might struggle to open the hatch a little bit this time. I think that's something that Vex needs to possibly look at with those impact nades, possibly Kayak on the smoke, depending what utility he's brought with him. Getting down there and just keeping that kitchen hatch, because if you remember, that was where the drop came. They got in, they got the diffuser down, and the attack pretty much all came from the kitchen hatch. So without fuse, are Horus going to try something different this time?
Yeah, I think Horus have shown so far that they're not like a one-trick pony. They've got more than one idea about how they want to attack onto any of these given sites. We've already seen them attack differently on CCTV on 2 different occasions, and I'm sure that Arsenal's going to be no different. They've not brought the fuse, like you say. I think I'd be looking for more of a typical approach, maybe taking control of Blue Stairs area, maybe even opening up Dirt Tunnel and just giving Wind and Rain something to think about. We can see Western there. Just going to be retrieving his drone, maybe going to put it in and just see if that tunnel is is free? If so, may as well open it, because you've got plenty of hard breach destruction ready and available on the Hibana as well. You're going to be able to get everything that you need open, and that tunnel can just give something else for the defenders to think about, especially in those dying few seconds if you do go for a bit of a rotation through it. He's going to place the charge but not do anything with it as of yet. Kayak is going to be playing up in there, and it is going to force him back on into the sites. That, you know, it could be a good thing and a bad thing depending on your outlook, because it's going to put Kayak in the fight a little bit, but it is going to remove him from being able to hide away up inside of the tunnel. As you know, looking at other progress around the map, we're not seeing all too much. We're seeing a little bit of drone work coming through, but I'm going to be looking toward Turtle. He needs to start getting some hatches open now. You can hear the X-Kairos there popping off, and I think he is going to be looking to get the kitchen hatch open. We've got Vex and Tyrant. They're on a bit of a double team flank here, and this could be devastating for Horus if they're able to pick up a good couple of kills. There's two of them crouch walking through the map. Let's see what they are able to do for their team. They're going to have a lot of angles to watch, and it could be very difficult. It's going to go one or two ways. It's either going to go brilliantly or it's going to be a disaster, and Wind and Rain are going to lose two guys. Impact Grenade comes through. That's going to be able to watch on into kitchen, and if his teammate Tyrant is able to watch the stairs as well, then Vex could be rewarded with some kills here. He is. Shady not aware that there's two of them, and Tyrant's able to pick up a pretty free kill there. Now, at this point, Tyrant could rotate all the way back down over into blue through Cash. It looks like that's what he's going to try and do, and rejoin the fight from that angle. I think that's a good play coming out there from Wind and Rain.
Excellent play, and not something that you see too often from a bottom site, is getting players all the way up onto top floor and it being effective. So that kill from Tyrant there is great, taking Nomad out of the picture. We remember how important Nomad was on the plant last time out. That said, Joker and Kixer turn things around, and Turtle joins the party as well, making it 3 kills in as many seconds onto Wind and Rain. So that leaves Blackout and Harris in a very difficult 2 versus 4 now as they drop onto site. Weston will get the first kill with the knife before going in for the plant on the diffuser. He really is doing everything for his team so far this round. Joker on the cover will take out Blackout to win the round for Horus, and that means even spoils in the first defensive and attacking phases respectively.
Another very equally matched set of teams there. They're proving themselves back and forth, coming out of that first phase, as you say, at 3 apiece. We are now, of course, going to see the sides swap, and it's going to be Wind and Rain to show us what they've got on attack, and it's going to be Horus to show us what they have got on defense. So far, very impressed with the way that Horus have attacked. To win 2 downstairs objectives on Clubhouse as attackers, it isn't something that you see all the time, and in the fashion that they've been doing it, it's been fairly convincing.
It has indeed. They've got the diffuser down a couple of times, and they've certainly had a focus on playing that objective in each round and trying to create a position whereby they can plant rather than just going into gunfights. So that's going to be interesting now that Wind and Rain are on the attack, because that is something that they are known for so far in this Premiership season. So it's going to be a little bit of, you know, maybe anything you can do, we can do better, and we're going to see them coming in and trying hard to get that diffuser down. This is going to be the big test down on Church and Arsenal. If Horus can start to pick up a round here, maybe get themselves up to CCTV, put in another good round, then, you know, all of a sudden you're 2 rounds down and Wind and Rain are starting to ask what they need to do. And this just comments again, you know, we were saying about these new teams coming in, Demise and Horus. How well have they both presented themselves in this, their first proper on-stream week in the Premiership? They really have sent a message here that they are not here to be free points to anybody. You know, they're here to challenge, and that is really what they are doing so far.
And it's good to see. It's nice to see that there's teams that are able to compete at this level that aren't in the Premiership. You know, it's not just that all the teams in the Premiership are the teams that can play in the Premiership and do well. There are teams outside that didn't make it through the qualifiers that are still able to compete at this level of competition against a side that's been to LAN last season, no less. You know,
real
slightly
depth.
different roster, but like you say, a real depth to their ability, and it does just go to show how strong the scene is in the UK at this moment in time. Moving into round number 7 now, it is going to be a tough battle now for Wind and Rain. They're going to have to do something that isn't often done, although Horus have managed to do it a couple of times, winning downstairs in Arsenal. What about this for an opening down there from Shady? He's going to see a bit of pressure from elsewhere, but it's going to be Kayak that's able to convert the kill for him and get some good shots out onto Kayak on the balcony. Kayak is going to fall now. Shady and Kixer proving a menace upstairs. you don't even see people playing in this position when you're attacking onto a downstairs objective. Like, it's not something you're going to expect. Vex, he's going to be the next victim. He's over in construction all alone. He's faced with 2 players on the side of Horus, and he daren't move a muscle. He's going to have to shoot the goo mine because that will slow him down, but that's going to have given his position away. If that Legion wants to get super aggressive now, he could open up that wall in between. No, he's got no impact grenades left. I was going to say, if he had an impact grenade, he could get really aggressive onto this and try and get that kill over onto the Twitch. Drones are going to come through, but look at all the time that this is taking as well. Vex now, he's got a little bit of backup, but he's still not got much of an idea as to where the players are going to be playing. He is going to find the kill, however, onto Kixer, and it could be time now for a rotation back down onto site by Shady, which is going to come through. He's going to retreat down the stairs. Very wise move indeed. A minute of the clock been wasted. Vex, I think he's probably only 1 goo mine away from getting downed himself, so he's going to be very vulnerable indeed. Harris and Vex now turning their attention over toward the blue stairs area. But in the final 50 seconds, there's going to be a bloodbath.
It's going to be very, very difficult for Wind and Rain from here. Look at Vex down on, like you said, probably about 8 or 9 HP there. So top floor hold of a bottom floor objective has just taken about 290 HP off the Wind and Rain roster. That is devastating from Horus, and very, very well played. And now, with only 50 seconds to go, 30 seconds as we stand now, they've got themselves back to site. 4 men, half health on 1, the others are full, and they've got themselves entrenched into very good positions. Turtle will get a kill onto Harris there, making things even more difficult. So you've got Vex very low. I don't think he knows that there's Shady just behind this angle, and no, Shady pops out and gets the kill onto Vex there, keeping his position a surprise, and gets the next as well. What a round from Shady. That was at least a 4K. It wasn't a 5, was it? Sure.
No, I think it was. I think it was a 4K. He got the down on the first play. He got the down on the Zephyr, and it was Kixer that converted it. But I think, what have we seen now? Have we seen 3 situations for Wind and Rain where they've been left 1 versus 3, and I think in every situation it's been Blackout last alive.
Yep.
I mean, I know that he's the support player, and I know that he's picking up operators like Maestro and he's picking up Thermite, but you know, he's got to be supported a little bit more by his teammates. Just seems to be getting really left out in the cold, and you can see him sitting on 2 and 7. That isn't typical from what we're used to seeing from Blackout. I mean, we've said it before, he is a support player, but he does have the capability of not only getting the support roles done, but getting the kills as well. Very difficult situation for Wind and Rain, as Horus are proving very strong indeed on Clubhouse.
I know that somewhere Demo will be very happy right now as we go into the bar and stock objective. He asks for it every time we see Clubhouse, and here it is. We have Horus Esports going to bar and stock on their 2nd defensive round, so taking this ahead of CCTV Cash, ahead of Gym and Bedroom. Have they got a strat down here, or are they just trying to mix things up a little bit?
I hope they have got a strat down here, because with the way that the round's been going so far, it's looking good for Horus to do well out of this. I think it's looking at least like a draw and potentially a Horus win. Now, something else that you've got to consider and you've got to think about is round count. Round count's going to be key in defining how the middle of the table is going to play out, and that could be the difference between getting the land spot or not. If you've got a strat for bar and stock, brilliant, pull it out, pull the pocket strat out, but I'd like to see them just, you know, put this one away now. They've got a 1 round advantage, get themselves upstairs to CCTV, get over into Gym, pick up another couple of rounds, and then back downstairs onto Arsenal, because they did defend there so well. This gives Wind and Rain the opportunity to pick a round up. However, it's not something that's practiced very often, because it's not a bomb site that's, you know, very well used. It's seen as a bomb site that's not very good for the defenders, so attackers could have a bit of a trouble attacking onto it if they've not got a clear idea of how they want to play.
Indeed, so 1 minute in, we are still 5 versus 5, and I think that's something that we've seen, you know, it's quite a common trait across all of the Premiership games so far, but certainly what we've seen tonight is getting a minute and a half into the round, and we're not seeing that early round aggression. We tend to be 5 versus 5 at this point. We're not seeing the spawn peaks, we're not seeing the aggressive runouts, we're not seeing those things coming into play really. Teams, you know, much happier to sit back, and I think we are getting towards a more objective focus meta than we've had recently over the last couple of seasons. There has been a lot more, as you say, just gunfights, bloodbaths, and sort of almost TDM play. But very interesting to see the change as we head into the final minute and a half. Then we've got Shady playing upstairs on the hatch. He is going to need to be cleared out because that drop could be very deadly, although the pool room is castled, so it does affect his ability to get into sight immediately. But Kixer getting the first kill there onto Blackout, so that will be the thermite gone, so all those reinforced walls are going to stay in place. Shady gets a kill onto Harris, and I tell you what, things are starting to look very good for Horus here. This is going to be tricky. Another kill comes in from Shady. He is absolutely going off at the minute with a kill onto Vex, and that will be a headshot taking the IQ off the board, leaving us now 5 versus 3. Tyrant finally gets up there to clear Turtle out. Kayak gets the kill onto Joker. Kixer, however, will get the kill onto Tyrant, and the top floor hold onto Bar and Stock continues with Western finishing things off onto Kayak, and that will be another round for Horus. And I tell you what, these new teams are absolutely lighting things up tonight.
I don't know what to say. Horus are doing things that you don't always see. You really don't see a Bar and Stock. I can't stress that enough.
Why are they there? I can hear Wind and Rain.
No, that really is the call out, isn't it? Why is he there? Not only are they playing Bar and Stock, they're defending it from upstairs, and you know, Wind and Rain just haven't got a response for it. They don't know how to attack onto it, and it's something that they're struggling with. If you've got a pocket strat for a site that isn't isn't a regularly picked site, it can be devastating if the team that you're playing aren't prepared to attack against that. And Wind and Rain really just weren't prepared for what they were facing back in that round 8. Round number 9 now, we see the scoreboard sitting at 5-3 in favour of Horus. They're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves at this moment in time, opting not to go for CCTV and Cash, which is arguably the more typical pick. They're going to take us over into Gym and Bedroom. Wind and Rain had no problem defending here, and they were able to pick up both rounds that they played up in this bomb site when it was their turn on defense. How are they going to fare this time on attack? Opting to bring the double hard breach as well. It is available, and Clubhouse is one of those maps where you're going to want to take both hard breaches if they are both available. So there should be no excuse in terms of opening things up and getting map control. I'd really like to see some control of CCTV and Cache area. That can be really key. Getting that east wall open in conjunction with getting the jacuzzi wall open and providing a bit of pressure over onto the B bomb side. There is a reinforced wall in B as well, which could play into Wind and Rain's favour if they are able to get in and start to look to get a plan down. There's options here for Wind and Rain, and I hope that they can keep composure now moving into round number 9, because they do have a couple of round deficit.
It's going to be difficult for them, because now Horus are in a situation that they haven't faced in Premiership yet, and that is take this round and you get something. Immediate reward now. Take this round, you've got a draw. You know that, and they've not been in that position. So it's going to be interesting to see how Horus perform here. They've come off the back of 2 very good rounds. There's a couple of players there, Shady in particular, going to be carrying a lot of confidence into this round. He's hitting his shots, he's playing well. And if Horus come away from this, they know that they've got the first point in Premiership, and it negates that advantage that Demise got coming in with a killer, getting that, you know, they replaced the killer, so they got the draw, and Horus had to come in on 0 points. So Demise lost earlier, it then negates that, and they're going to be a direct rival to Horus, so they're going to be very keen to get this round. 1 minute 50 left to go. We've got the hot tub wall open. Good progress from Wind and Rain. They're certainly fighting back here. We know they're a team that are not just going to lie down, but their slow and steady, sort of methodical approach that we usually see to getting the diffuser down, not really cutting the mustard against Horus so far.
I kind of like how they've set up to this point, but I just hope that they're able to execute onto it as well. We're seeing Capitao able to cut off the smoke playing, the mute playing inside of the showers area, as Kayak does put some asphyxiating bolts down into there, but they've not done anything with that. That would have been a nice opportunity to try and push in and get aggressive onto that kill. Tyrant doing a little bit of drone work as well. I like the use of the Hibana holes there to watch on into CCTV room, but it would also be nice to have an option to move on in. Harris opening things up with a kill onto Joker, and Blackout responding. It's going to be a flurry of kills coming in from Wind and Rain as the diffuser does start to get planted as well. Kixer grabs 1 in between, make that 2, as all of a sudden we are in a 1 versus 3 situation. Kixer didn't seem to realise there was a castle barricade there that was going to slow his progress, as he does now enter a retake situation at 1 versus 3. Not got a lot of time to play with. The diffuser is, of course, ticking down, and it's going to be on to Kixer now to really get aggressive and to try and pick up these players of Horus. But no, it's going to be Tyrant that picks off Kixer. A bit of body shooting there. Tyrant maybe just letting a bit of rage out. I think that's going to be firing Wind and Rain up now, and they're going to be saying to themselves, look, we can't let the new kids on the block take us so easily. We need to hold on for as long as possible. And holding on they are, 5-4, another exhilarating game.
Absolutely edge of the seat stuff. You really can't tell which way this one is going to go. I had a feeling that both of these games were going to be relatively close tonight and hotly contested affairs.
We did say in the pre-show, we had a bit of a chat earlier, and we said, you know, which game is the game to watch, and we kind of said the first two really, and then we realised we couldn't have two, so we had to narrow it down to one. But it was hotly contested as to which was the game to watch, and I think, you know, it was really either games at this point. Having seen the majority of both of them, it's fair to say that both of these games have not failed to disappoint in the level of back and forth that they've provided. Absolutely,
it really is entertaining to watch. Wind and Rain, we saw some classic Wind and Rain there that round. They got back to what they want to do. They got in, they knew what they wanted to open, and they got it open. They then positioned themselves, they waited, they had the crossfires set up. First couple of kills comes in, and then bang, in goes Blackout, there goes the plant, and that is classic Wind and Rain. So they got the heads back on there and just managed to get that round back in the books.
I mean, we've almost seen classic Wind and Rain in the game as a whole, not just that round, in that they start off quite strong. They have a bit of a wobble mid-game and around the switch to the sides, which we can see in, you know, them picking up the first two rounds, Horus then getting two, and it was kind of back and forth for a little bit. And it's the classic Wind and Rain that we do tend to see, is that they're very good, you know, they're great players, but they do seem to have this sort of, I don't know if it's like a mental state where they get themselves a bit flustered in that mid-game situation, but they are pulling through in the end. We're going to be looking downstairs, and I'm sure that Wind and Rain are going to be looking to try and clear out these roamers a little bit earlier. It wouldn't be a bad option to just try and set up a bit of a rotation watch and push on into site, knowing that there's a good couple of players from Horus that are playing off the site, because this is eating up time. Blackout is going to get a drone there onto Shady. It's going to be Shady and Kixer again playing in this spot. Tyrant aggressively jumps on in, and he's established himself now inside of CCTV. If he can get the wall open to the top of the stairs, he could be gifted with a chance at a kill here. It is already going to be open. Drones running through ahead of him. Time has been wasted this time by Horus, but they've not been able to get a kill, so Wind and Rain are doing a little bit better in that respect.
Much better from Wind and Rain on that top floor clear. Within a minute now, they've got Kixer and Shady moved out of there, and we saw how much of a nuisance they caused themselves last time. So now we're down to more of a turtle defence. We can see all 5 of Horus down on site, and that's not something that we've seen from them yet. The rounds where they've been successful is where they've been able to fight off-site. So when they were in bar and stock, they were up in top floor, and they did very, very well. Again, when they were downstairs last time, they had a lot of success on the top floor. So this is going to be a bit of a test now for Horus as to how they can defend when they've been pushed back to site, and they just have to hold those angles, and they need to bide the time, and they need to play the clock, with Wind and Rain now able to set themselves up. And again, we saw a good example of that last round from Wind and Rain. When they can set themselves, that diffuser almost always goes down.
Yeah, and they do tend to spend quite a bit of time in the round if they get the opportunity to set up. Like you said, Horus aren't going to be gifted any sneaky kills this round. There's going to be nothing really unexpected. Now that map control has largely been gained by Wind and Rain, they're going to be heavily focused on making sure that, one, nobody's able to rotate up Blue or Garage, which Kayak is keeping on top of that at the hatch in stock, and the rest of the players are going to be looking to push down main stairs. We've already got Blackout in position to try and open up the wall. Impact Trick is going to come out, but it isn't going to do all too much against the Hibanas. The Hibana's proven a bit of a distraction there as Blackout's exothermic charge is able to go off, and he picks up the kill versus the shotgun, I believe. Harris grabbing one for himself. Shady getting out the trade. 4 versus 3 now in favour of Wind and Rain. We're entering that final bloodbath inside of 20 seconds as Kayak has found himself inside a Memorial along with Harris. Pre-fires are coming through. Something is going to have to give now on the side of Wind and Rain, but no, Turtle comes through with a beautiful C4 floor toss. Tyrant trading it straight back out. This is real back and forth stuff. The diffuser has started to be planted with 3 seconds left. It's going to have to stick, and we are in a retake situation. It is going to be effectively a 2 versus 2 as Tyrant gets down. Vex picks up the kill onto Turtle. Now effective 1 versus 2 as Joker is last alive inside of blue. He is Rook. He has got the ACOG. Is he going to be able to find a peak, or are the players of Wind and Rain going to be able to hold fast? Vex is on very little health as it is. Joker has to get aggressive onto this, but he isn't in the best position to do so with the exthermic charge going off and the floor being opened as well. It's only a matter of time. He does find one onto Kayak. 1 versus 1. There is enough time to get this kill and get the defuse, but only if he moves quickly. Nade toss comes through from Vex. What a great heads-up play. It is going to buy him all the time he needs. Joker picks the kill, but it is too late. Vex there. Nade toss of the century. 200 IQ plays coming through it. It bought him the seconds he needed to clutch that round out for his team. Wind and Rain are holding on to this by the skin of their teeth.
Wind and Rain showing a bit of experience there, as you say. Vex just with an absolutely fantastic nade toss. Kept that one in his pocket until the right moment so that Joker couldn't challenge and just ate away 2 or 3 valuable seconds on that clock. What an exciting round again to bring us level at 5 apiece. We've seen that twice tonight. We saw it in the Demise game with Hippo. So close. I think he was even closer. He was within about half a second. But Joker again, a fantastic effort, getting the kills that his team needed. Just unable to get himself on that diffuser quickly enough. And again, Wind and Rain doing what Wind and Rain do. Going in, getting the diffuser down and playing the game from there.
And their post plan was really good there as well. They were able to not only get the plant down and get away from it, but put themselves in a winning position from that point. We had somebody playing inside of Memorial and we had Vex playing at the bottom of main stairs. They weren't overexposing themselves. They knew they were up against an ACOG, and it would have been all too easy for Joker to pop a couple of headshots there with the ACOG of Rook. But they weren't able to, well, they didn't expose themselves too much, they didn't cause themselves too much hassle, and as a result, a very deserved round win coming in there from Wind and Rain. I just can't get over that grenade. I think to have that clarity of thought in the heat of the moment from Vex is incredible.
I totally agree with you. I mean, when we look at Wind and Rain so far, interestingly, they've won 2 rounds, they've lost 2 rounds now on attack. The 2 rounds they've won are the 2 rounds where they've got the diffuser down, and it just goes to show that when Wind and Rain play their own game, which is diffuser-based, it is objective-based, that's what they do well. When they do that, they win rounds. Simple as that. As you said, they've got a very good post round. They know exactly what to do when that diffuser goes down. Some teams, you know, do have a habit of panicking a little bit and they get themselves into silly situations, or they try and throw the diffuser down too quickly. That's the common one. Throwing the diffuser down too quickly before they properly set for that post-diffuse gameplay. But Wind and Rain very, very good in that timing, and they've utilised that very well in the last couple of rounds. We're going to see them downstairs again now. What do you think Exit Horus need to do differently here to what they did last time?
Horus are playing this one a bit differently in the sense that they're not roaming upstairs. They've seen that it worked in one round, and then they've seen that it wasn't the reason that they failed last round, but it was definitely a contributing factor. I think they've got to be aware at how good Wind and Rain are, at dealing with this clock. And it really doesn't matter how many seconds are left. If they've got an opportunity, if they've got 1 second to get that diffuser down, you better believe that they've spent the previous 45 setting that up. And I think it's about not giving them that space and not giving them that time, maybe getting a little bit more aggressive onto them. Because if you look at the lineup from Horus, they've not got all that much deniability. Sure, they're going to have 2 C4s, but after that, it's not as if they've got a smoke that's going to be able to eat up a lot of time. So I think that Horus could do well to try and get a little bit more aggressive onto Wind and Rain and not really give them as much space as they've been giving them previously. A late round flank could come through pretty clutch. Maybe if it's up through garage, it is going to be very difficult to pull off because those angles are being watched.
Absolutely agree with you. So coming into the final minute now, we are still 5 versus 5, so that shows how tentative the Horus defence is this time, rather than, as you say, pushing those top floor and those flanks. They're quite happy to sit on site this time and try and waste as much time as they can. But that being said, we saw how deadly Wind and Rain can be from that situation. We can see Wind and Rain getting themselves into that same position that they want to now. In come the Zephyr concussion grenades to try and prevent any impacting of the wall to stop any thermite charges, so they definitely want to get that wall open. We've got Mute in there ready with the shotgun. If Western moves round, he could get a little bit of joy here. He's got a couple waiting for him in that room, and it all depends who wins that first fight, really. We've got Blackout now, has got that wall open. The plant position is open, and the diffuser is brought in. Kixer will get the first. Western with a second onto Kayak. Blackout will get one onto Turtle. Western gets a second on the shotgun and a third. That's Blackout and Tyrant. Shady finishes things off. What a round from Western, pulling Horus into a guaranteed draw.
How did Blackout not turn around? You could hear the shot come through. You could practically see the flinch on the screen. Oh, brilliant timing there from Western. Those close quarter shotgun situations are all about timing. You've really got to account for the pump of chamber in that next round and peaking off that. He did it to perfection. Textbook use there of the Mute shotgun, and well, we have at least guaranteed a draw for Horus. Wind and Rain are going to be fighting now, and they're going to be very keen to pull this one back to a draw, but you've got to help. You can't help but think they just stacked Memorial far too heavily there.
They certainly did, and again, you know, I don't want to go in too heavily on Western, but you know, how well played was that? Like you say, the timing of it. He could have challenged at any point. He knew they were in there. He must have heard the drop. He'd moved out quite early, and he must have waited. I'd like to watch it back to see how long he actually waited before making that challenge. It must have been 20-25 seconds, and then he came around with essentially a shotgun pre-fire and just had an absolute field day, as I suggested he might do if he got the timing right. So great plays again from Horus there, and they really are sending a message to the Premiership here.
There must have been something that Wind and Rain could have done in that situation to deal with that. I don't know if they had any drones available. I don't know if they had any utility that they could have just poked in. Maybe some asphyxiating bolt from Capitao, maybe a grenade, even a concussion grenade from Zafir if you've got one left. Just something to try and give yourself the advantage in that situation. But it all comes down to the control of blue. There was zero control of blue, and that's really what allowed Western to be able to play in that position so confidently. He knew that there was no risk from anywhere else. All the risk was from Memorial, because that's where it had been stacked by Wind and Rain. Had that been a multiple-pronged attack and something a little bit different, maybe a little bit of pressure into kitchen floor, maybe a bit of pressure from the hatch, maybe some pressure from blue, it could have worked out a little bit differently. As it stands, we're sitting at 6-5, and Harris isn't happy about it. He's taken out Shady in the first 30 seconds, and you can never pick who you get in the early stages of a round, but Shady's probably not a bad one to take off given his performance this game so far.
No, he's absolutely flying for his team so far. He's had some absolutely critical rounds, 3Ks, 4Ks, really to pull them over the line and get them to this point of where they've got a guaranteed point at least, and that's going to bring them back level with Demise, and it's just going to, as I say, negate that early advantage that Demise got by being the higher qualifying team. They came into Aquila's record, which was 1 draw, so it got them a point. That is now going to be negated, and Horus are going to be very happy about that. The question is, can they push on? Can they get the 3 points? We're now nearly halfway into the round. There's not been too much more progress. Harris got that good first frag on Ash, but not too much else has happened since then. They've got the east wall open, but they're not really applying too much pressure to it. Only now have they got Vex and Harris up on the rappel to start being able to challenge into sight from there. We've still got Kixer on the balcony. He's going to use his impact nade a bit cheaply there to take a drawn out. We know the information is important, but if they're aware that you're on Garage Catwalk, then they can't really get more aware of that. So a little bit of a wasted utility there, especially the Maestro camera on the wall that could have done the job as well, I think. But that said, Joker holding tight in the cash room with his Alder there, just getting it all charged up and ready to go with a reload. Vex will get a kill onto Kixer, so that is going to be Garage clear now. And Wind and Rain have certainly got plenty of time left, using that asphyxiating bolt to clear off this south and east side completely. And looking at the site there, the plant spot is absolutely wide open. I'm not going to say where is Blackout, because I know that Blackout, in terms of planting, will be exactly where Wind and Rain want him to be, and they're just not prepared to go for the plant yet. And not too surprisingly, they know that the C4 is left on the board, and I think they just want to make more of a guaranteed thing of this.
Yeah, if there's 1 second left, you can be sure that Wind and Rain are going to try and attempt a plant. You can see the utility comes through now. We've got smoke canisters coming through, and the C4 toss comes out, but it is going to be a little bit too wide. Blackout is going to be able to continue his plant, and he's being covered as well. Turtle does pick up a C4, a flurry of kills. All of a sudden, it's a 2 versus 1. Is Turtle going to be able to clutch this up? He makes it a 1v1, and he's got control of the diffuser. It's going to all be down to Harris to push aggressively. He's got a Goo-mine in his foot. He's pre-firing anything that he can, but no, Turtle clutching things out for his team, and that's going to be a huge win for Horus, coming in with their first win of the Premiership.
Who would have predicted it? Absolutely fantastic first performance, and what a match. Another 12-round thriller here in the UK Premiership, and it really does, you know, I don't want to stress the point too much. I know that we've said it, but what an advertisement for the strength and depth that we're starting to get in this league. Every team is competitive, even teams that haven't necessarily qualified and are coming into it when other teams have dropped out, are then beating established LAN position teams from the previous season. What a game from Horus.
How disappointed would you somewhat feel in yourself in Tyrant's shoes there as well, when they were in a 2 versus 2 situation and gets a kill onto his teammate? That was the big difference maker in that final round that turned this map potentially from being a draw into a loss. And it's painful. These mistakes happen, but this is what happens when you all bunch up in the dying seconds of a round. You saw 3 of them grouping by that open wall, trying to get the plant down, and it came back to bite them.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a tough final few seconds. We do speak about how Wind and Rain are pretty good in those dying few seconds, and if there's not a lot of time left, they do tend to, you know, play quite well under that form of pressure. But it was just a little bit too much there, I think, and you could just tell how much Horus wanted it. They played that last round pretty much to perfection. You couldn't have asked for much more. The strats and the things that they've worked on as a team since the last time that I've seen Horus playing, it's almost night and day as to how they've developed as a squad. And you can really see that with some of the things that they were doing. They were really going for some, you know, almost out there strategies. Bar and stock. We're never going to see that again. I can tell you now, we're never going to see that again. And Horus brought it out, and they were able to pick up the win. They really threw Wind and Rain, I think, with some of their side selection. Yeah,
they really did. And as you know, I don't want to sound cliche, but the winners are us. What a fantastic match of Siege we've just had to watch. It really was so entertaining. Seeing different things, like you say, Horus coming out. You know, what about that little Vex Tyrant double roam that went upstairs as well? That was really entertaining to watch. You know, you just don't know how it's going to end. And it really was a fantastic game to watch. I've really enjoyed that one.
What I really like about this is it does set a bit of a precedent here where when you see 2 new teams come into the Premiership late, you think, okay, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Like, these aren't going to be the same quality as the teams that we've seen before. But I think despite the last game being a loss and this one being as excellent as it has, you can very easily see that both of these teams are very deserving of being in the Premiership and have a genuine chance to make a huge impact. Horus especially against a team, again, that qualified for LAN. This is the kind of result they need to put on the board in week 1 to say to the rest of the teams, we're here to fight, we're here to get into LAN when it comes round.
That performance in that final round, just watching it back there again, it was backs to the wall. Horus, absolute backs to the wall. Was it 2 versus 4 at a point whereby the plant was trying to go down? And they've just fought and fought and fought. And, you know, I'm a bit of a football fan. I've grown up with the phrase play to the whistle, and that's exactly what Horus did there. They just didn't stop for a second. Really well played.
Play to the time of hitting 0, it felt like there as well. Yeah. And it is a really good standout performance from them as well. Got to give some shout out to Kayak as well. We said at the start, not quite as impactful last week as Reese was back in week 1, but especially in the first half of this map, he was up there getting those kills we were speaking about. He was giving not to always say that he's living in Reese's shadow, but definitely a week 1 Reese-esque performance in a sense as well. Very thoroughly impressed. But got to say as well, 3-3 at the half. What is it with UK Prem and maps always being 3-3 at the half?
The teams seem to take a little bit of time to get going, and I think that it's sort of a bit of pre-round nerves, certainly maybe from Horus. This is going to be the first game that they're playing that's been streamed, so that could really play into it for them. You know, maybe a bit of nerves, maybe a bit of, you know, feeling like they're being watched a little bit. So that could really play into it, because they're going to want to come in, they're going to want to make an impact. I know how much that team really wanted the spot initially in the qualifiers, so to be gifted with this chance now, with teams having dropped out and them coming up as the first replacements, you know, they're going to want to perform, and they're going to be feeling that pressure. So I think early rounds, you know, a few mistakes here and there, and then they kind of settle out as the game gets on. But yeah, 3-3 at the half, it's almost the norm at this point inside of the Prem.
It does feel to be the way, but of course we can hypothesize all we like. The best way we can find out the real answers is to speak from Weston, who's now going to join us, of course, as the victor of that map. Hey buddy, how's it going?
Not bad, you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I think a lot better for you guys, especially after that win. I mean, of course, 1, welcome to the Prem. 2, congratulations on that victory. How did you guys feel being on your first day, walking into a victory?
I mean, we were very confident. We knew that we were going Clubhouse a week ago, and we practiced non-stop on Clubhouse. We got the strats down, we did everything down. We just focused on Clubhouse, and I guess we got lucky with the map ball.
You can call it luck, my man, but I think you guys played pretty well. And let's speak about your opposition as well in Wind and Rain. We keep on saying it. They were a team that was at LAN last season. They are one of these top teams with some fantastic players like Vex on the lineup. Were there any nerves coming into this, or did the prep just completely offset that?
I mean, there's a general nerve going in, especially if it's our first season of Prem. But I think we held our nerves down. We stayed focused. During the rounds, we're just keeping calm. Everyone doing breathing exercises. We're just focusing, and then the result speaks for itself.
I got to ask as well. You speak about the nerves being under control. When you're in a spot where you look into Memorial and you're seeing 3 or 4 members there, and you have a shotgun in your hand, what were your thoughts and how were you feeling at that moment?
Honestly, I knew I could take it because none of them were looking at me. But at the same time, I was.
One of those things that you knew if you missed those shots, then you'd never quite live it down, right? Well, fair play, man. It was a very entertaining match. Thank you very much for delivering that performance for us, and hopefully I'll be speaking to you again next week.
See you later. Bye-bye.
So there you go, calm, composed. They said they spent the whole week prepping Clubhouse. It's almost like they've literally mind game Wind and Rain in this situation.
It certainly seems like it, and there's sort of a bit of a common denominator here when we get into the interviews, just how calm and collected these players are. They've obviously got their head screwed on in what they're trying to do, and I think, you know, having prepped Clubhouse for a week and really practiced that, it's testament to the backroom staff and the coaches, because they're the ones that are going to be sort of masterminding that, if you will. I believe it's Amata that coaches for Horus, so he's obviously done a very good job in you know, getting the lads into shape there for that.
Absolutely, and that's what it all comes down to. Of course, now the question is, how do they perform in the weeks going ahead? Again, LAN is a thing. Wind and Rain, if they'd won that game, they would have been in a spot where they were pretty much joined into top. But that wasn't quite to be the case today. They were somewhat upset. What do you think they've got to turn around here? Maybe it's a case of not getting out mind game when it comes into draft, and maybe going to a map that the other team doesn't expect, because clearly something here was a little bit too readable.
I think there were a number of occasions where, you know, we commented that Wind and Rain are good at executing late in the round. Maybe it was just left a little bit too late, and you know, they need to look at maybe just doing things a little bit quicker. We know that Wind and Rain are a reasonably slow and steady team. They know exactly where they want to be at certain points of the round, and that's what they're looking for. I felt like there was an opportunity in that last round to be getting that diffuser down quicker. I did comment at the time that I wasn't going to criticise Blackout, because I know that he knows what he's doing with the diffuser and he knows where he fits into that plan. But there was no attention to the garage side of Cash for a large amount of that round, where maybe the diffuser could have gone down in slightly less manic circumstances.
Absolutely. Well, don't forget, of course, that you can jump on the Twitter. You saw it earlier on, at ESL UK, and vote for who you thought was your player of that match. But we are going to our final break of the evening before we bring you, of course, an absolute belter of a game as well. It's going to be Na'Vi, their first game under that brand, formerly M&M Gaming, coming up against who knows. It's going to be a fantastic game. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in 5. Welcome back to the ESL Premiership. You missed the meme because it's all focused on me. We were trying to replicate what you had on Twitter, but we missed it up, guys. We'll show you about it later on. It's much funnier. Anyway, I'm back with the boys again for the final game. I'm so disappointed that got ruined. Honestly, that would have been hilarious. God damn it, production, for being professional. Either way, we're into the final game of the evening. It is going to be Na'Vi, newly rebranded from M&M, who are now going to be coming up against Who Knows, who, as we said off stream, and now, of course, we'll tell you guys as well. They do have their coach who has now left them, and one of the players from last week has also been replaced. So a few changes to talk about, which we'll talk to when it comes to this roster. But this is definitely feeling like a bit of a David versus Goliath scenario.
Yeah, quite possibly. M&M, obviously now Na'Vi, they're going to really want to try and stamp down. Obviously, it's going to be the first game under the new banner, as it were, that's going to be streamed. So they're really going to want to put in a performance now for not only the organisation, but any fans of the organisation as well. They're going to want to try and, you know, maybe win some hearts and minds. So they're going to be looking to put on a performance tonight, make no mistake.
I've got no doubt the players, of course, are still all in our hearts, and we all love them for what they've achieved so far. UKC massive on the big screen. What can we say? But let's have a look at those rosters that we'll be seeing today as well. Of course, many familiar names there on the side of Na'Vi: Indoki, Kendrew, Citizenello, and Saves. And on the other side, again, a couple of changes coming through. We have Pros, Asaleli, Nathan, Alfie, and Pi. So a few familiar names there, but equally one or two changes in there. Of course, we saw No Thumbs on side before, and Dumpling, who I believe is just not playing today rather than having actually left the team.
Yeah. Na'Vi really doesn't need too much of a discussion, does it? You know, we're more than familiar with those guys now. We've seen plenty of them. We know how solid they are. We know who's going to play which operators. We know where they're going to play. We know what roles they're going to play. You know, we really do know what to expect from these guys. You know, you're going to have Doki and Citizen out on the fragging. You're going to have Nello on site. You're going to have Saves joining somewhere in flex, usually more on the frag side, and Kendrew playing that support player on the thermite.
Absolutely. Well, let's have a look as well at the recent games they've played, as well as what they have coming up. As you can see, 2 wins on the board. Definitely not a bad start to the season, and the dream lineup, or the dream scoreline, I should say, for any team that is here in Prem. Now, we did just see a very impressive performance out of Horus. We saw T3H with their win earlier on as well. 2 games in the next couple of weeks that if those teams do kind of take it to the next level, they will potentially put quite a threat against Na'Vi.
Yeah, it's something to prepare for. It's something to have in the back of your minds and think about. There's no other team that's currently won both of the games, so they do have that in their favour. But they're going to be looking toward this one as Who Knows, and then, you know, looking forward to Horus and T3H. And I'm sure they've been watching the stream this evening because we've already seen 2 of those teams play. And I'm sure that they're going to be thinking, you know, we're going to have to do something against these guys because they have got, you know, flashes of brilliance. And if we do make too many mistakes, it could be all too easy to you know, lose the game. We know that Siege often comes down to one very small mistake, which isn't even fair to call it a mistake. It's just that the margins are so fine.
It's exactly like we saw on that map earlier on Clubhouse, where it can come down to a team kill in the final round that ultimately is the difference between a draw and a loss. Unfortunate, but these things do happen. But let's look at the team they're up against here in the form of Who Knows. We've seen these guys, of course, now for a couple of weeks, but there are equally a couple of changes coming through, like we mentioned, that could have quite a big impact in this fixture.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Prox coming in. He's obviously been a pretty steady player on Who Knows. He's been there from I think the get-go. Ex-M&M player as well. Always worth mentioning. It is from a little bit of time ago
December,
now.
I believe it was.
Yeah, it is from a bit of time ago now. It does seem like a long time ago, but there's always a bit of a grudge there. You know, I don't think there's any bad blood particularly, but you're always going to want to prove yourself against your friends. And sometimes the matches versus your friends can be the more difficult ones because you really do want to put in a performance and you really do want to prove who's better. It really boils down to that competitive nature. ESL, like you say, Nathan, Alfie and Pi. Pi being a player that you're going to really want to look out for in the frag department. If he starts to get the kills coming through, he can really make the difference on this lineup. And
you're going to have to make a difference in this game as well, again, against, without a doubt, probably the best team in Prem that we have at the moment. But also, let's take a look at their schedule, how things have gone so far. Now, you could probably call them the Draw Kings if you wanted to, with 2 draws previously. Can they turn it into a lucky third, or will Na'Vi be here to put a bitter end to that one? What do you think, gents?
I think it's just about looking at the performances, and X said it himself, you know, the mistake, we talk about mistakes, we're talking about very, very small things at this level of play, and I think for Who Knows, it is just about ironing out those small elements, and with a little bit of time, bit of consistency in the roster, which obviously they're not quite seeing at the minute, but, you know, given a couple of weeks, and, you know, unfortunately for them, Prem is a short season, and so it's not that easy for them to have that time to get running, but I think those draws can be converted into wins for them.
Well, let's pray the way that it doesn't turn into another 3-3, or the meme will well and truly be more than alive. So I'm quite excited to see how this one plays out. Now, obviously something to consider in this as well is that, again, Na'Vi have not lost yet this season. Talk to me as well, Ace. How do you stop this team? How do you shut them down and stop them being so dominant in the 2 games that we've seen them win so far?
One thing that surprises me so far this season is if we talk about Na'Vi as a team and you talk about maps, Villa and Consulate. They're the 2 maps that you really expect that team to come out and do well on. And which 2 maps have they been allowed to play in week 1 and week 2? They've come out on Villa, they've come out on Consulate. And that really surprises me because the other teams that are playing against them will know that. And I'm really surprised they're not coming in and taking away those priority maps from Na'Vi early on. Let's be honest, you're going up against one of, if not the best team in the league. You've got to give yourself every advantage you can get. And that starts right from the map banning phase. So at least take them somewhere where, if they're not brilliant, at least they're less comfortable, and that I'd like to see going forward. Obviously, Consulate's going to be out of the pool for them because they played it last week. If they end up on Villa again today, it really is then a disaster coming through the map pick stage.
It's trying to find any possible crack in that highly polished armour that a lot of teams will be looking for to try and bring them down. But whilst we're on the subject of maps, let's take a look at what the draft is for this series. And of course, where we'll be going to, it's going to be Coastline. Now, I remember seeing them play this quite a few times last season as well. I wouldn't say it's a map that they're unfamiliar with, but it's not one of those top 2 that you mentioned.
It's not. I think when you start looking at a team like Na'Vi, you're going to be looking that they're going to be pretty good on all the maps.
You'd hope so.
There's going to be no one particular map that they dislike. Or, well, there'll be a map they dislike. I imagine that's going to be Oregon. It's known that Oregon isn't as competitive as it could be, and I think that's possibly one of the reasons why it's being removed. But that aside, yeah, Coastline, I mean, look at the last 2. It's border or coast. It's almost pick your poison at that point for who knows as to where you want to take them. You certainly don't want to take them to Clubhouse because that's a really execute-heavy map, and a team that's as organised as Na'Vi are going to be very good at executing onto that. Obviously, as you said, Villa and Consulate. Consulate being already out of the picture and Villa being first ban from who knows. Again, really no surprises there. So, yeah, it all falls down to border or coast, and it's pick your poison at that point in time.
The thing is, I look at all of those maps, and the only map I look at and say, really, that's not particularly Na'Vi favoured, is probably Oregon, like you say. Bank is where you'll find guys like Doki just running off and doing their own thing. Clubhouse, like you mentioned, execution. Border, one of those maps, again, that's been stratted to death, also an execution-based map. So really, there isn't anywhere you can take them except for Oregon. And with 2 bans on side, they're definitely going to get rid of that map and one other they aren't too happy going to. So either way you look at it, this is very much so a Na'Vi kind of favoured series. You would say they are pretty much not so much guaranteed, but highly anticipated to come out of this the winner. The question is, what can Who Knows do to kind of stir the pot and show that, again, they don't have this perfectly polished armour, that there are indeed chinks that you can work out.
We know that Na'Vi have got good backroom staff. We know that the coach, Gig, is very active, and he will certainly have looked at Who Knows and what to expect. So I think what Who Knows need to do is come out and do something a little unexpected. Maybe something that they've not done before. They just need to pull something out of the the pocket strats that can't be prepared for. They just need to play just a little bit off the wall, and I think that's going to give them the best chance. Really, what you want is Na'Vi saying, "Why is he there?" That's we joke about it so often, but that's what you want is the unexpected.
It absolutely is. So basically, play erratic, play crazy, play without strats, and it is all yours. But of course, you can tell which side of the fence we sit on here on the desk as well, but we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Head over to @ESL UK on Twitter and you can vote for who you think is going to take this map. Are you siding with Na'Vi or are you looking more towards Who Knows? And the only way to find out is to get your votes in and we'll reveal that vote 2 or 3 rounds in. But it's time to get into game. Let's go down to Coastline, ladies and gents, and see who walks away with this 3rd game of the evening.
Heading over into our 3rd and final game then here in week 3 of the ESL UK Premiership. We will be heading to Ibiza, I believe, for Coastline, if I remember rightly. We will be heading to La Perla Blanca, and we are going for Who Knows versus Na'Vi, and we've got the first ban coming in there, X, with Hibana.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange one, perhaps. It's not something that you're going to really look toward too heavily, is to bring a hard breacher onto Coastline. It is, pretty much everything's achievable without Hibana. It does provide a little bit more security into billiards, as the wall can't be opened from up on the roof. So there could be some thought process behind it in that way. Capitao as well. We've seen a lot of Capitao play this evening, so no major surprises there. It is going to leave Glaz available. Glaz not really being an operator that Na'Vi choose to play all too often, but maybe Who Knows will take some advantage of that. Mirror and Echo coming out, shock and horror there as the 2 defender bans. It is the norm almost at this stage.
So Who Knows will be heading onto the attack first of all. We're going to see Na'Vi on the defence. there's a very open map, X. If you look at the sites, is there any sites that you really don't want to go to? I'd argue maybe Penthouse and Theatre has really fallen out of favour recently. Other than that, you've got 3 very viable sites. We're going to be heading upstairs to Hooker and Billiards first, which, to be fair, does tend to be number 1. We've got Citizen switching out onto his Valkyrie there. Not too much of a surprise. We do see quite a bit of Valkyrie play from Citizen. Nello on smoke as per usual, and it looks like we're going to have a roaming Doki out on Doc.
Yeah, Doki and Doc, it's almost a match made in heaven at this point. It is very favourable toward that operator. We are going to be looking up toward a Billiards and Hooker, as you do say, and you know this is going to be it's going to be tough work for Who Knows to try and breach on into this site. They're going to have to take some good control early on and maybe get lucky with a pick or 2 onto some over-aggressive or maybe overconfident players on the side of Na'Vi, as we're seeing a fairly typical setup. We've got the wall into VIP reinforced. That's going to cut off a line of sight over inside into Billiards. A little bit of preparation going in as well. You can see Nello's got a rotation hole at the top of Cool Vibe stairs that goes in onto Hooker as well. A couple of reinforcements to boot, maybe just to play off ever so slightly. But I'm interested to see how Who Knows handle this one and where we do find them. I think the worst thing that they could possibly do is waste time up on the roof. It can be good to get up there to be safe, because once you've got to the roof, there are options for you to try and push on in. But they're going to look to try and, it seems, get themselves up there. Maybe focus a little bit onto the balcony outside of Aquarium, but Saves is lying in wait. Look at that for some hearing detection. He's already able to hear somebody up on the roof and gives a ping out for his teammates just to let everybody know. You can hear Goo Mines hissing off in the distance as well, as Saves is just holding his ground over inside Aquarium, wasting as much time as possible.
Saves now just holding that door. Alfie looking to approach with Ace in tow as well. This could be dangerous. There could be a double kill on the card for Saves here as they knock out the barbed wire. It does signal their presence now. Saves is aware of somebody below him, and what a demonstration so far of the use of sound in this game from Saves. Absolutely pinpoint onto players moving around him. The Thermite is looking to push inside. He will do. Saves gets the first kill, and that leaves a man out on balcony who gets himself straight onto Repel to try and at least change that angle of attack. He will get the shots onto Saves, and that's a great kill from Alfie to trade that one back out. Slightly delayed, but that was exactly what was needed. I think too much aggression there would have cost him his life to Saves, definitely. So we've had a brief exchange in Aquarium now, and that leaves us 4 versus 4. We've got Pi working in through downstairs. Nathan gets the kill onto Citizen, so that will take the Valkyrie off the board. But if the cameras are still in place, if Prox hasn't done his job on the IQ, that's going to allow Citizen now to at least make himself useful, just holding himself on those camera views. But Prox may well have gone in and cleared some of those out. We can see now Alfie just moving through into luggage and Pi pushing into Aquarium as well. So good pressure mounting here from Who Knows in an early sort of turnaround, really. 4 versus 3, and they are really poised in a position to take this first round.
Yeah, and of course losing the C4 on Citizen, he was playing downstairs. He'll have no doubt been conscious of that and ready to use it if the plant did start to come through. We've got Kendrew over just trying to hold an angle onto luggage as Doki is using the ACOG onto main Billiards window. There is a player repelled on there, but the player isn't exposing himself all too much. Nello way back near Cool Vibes, ready and waiting with Toxic Babe canisters. Pi picks one up onto Doki, and all of a sudden the plant has an option of going down. Nello's going to have to push up now and use some Toxic Babe canisters, but it is not going to hit the mark, and Alfie is able to start that defuse to go, but he doesn't get it all the way. 2 quick kills for Kendrew, and Alfie cleaning one over onto Nello. All now lies in the hands of Kendrew in a 1 versus 2 situation. He hasn't got a lot of hit points, and it doesn't seem as though he's working off all too much information. The plant will go down. He will get his first kill over onto Pi, making this a 1 versus 1. To get a kill this early in the diffuser going down is crucial, because it gives him plenty of time now to try and identify where the second one is. He's going to find the head of Alfie. Kendrew going huge for his team. He knows where the diffuser is, but oh, he doesn't. He's searching for it. He's found it. He's not in much of a rush at all. More than half of the diffuse time remaining. He knows he's got all the time in the world to get this one off. Good early round there from Na'Vi.
What a retake there, Kendrew coming in with 2 huge kills, as you said. That first one coming in so quickly after the diffuser had gone down just gave him a real advantage and placed him immediately in that 1 versus 1 situation. But let's not take anything away from that headshot through onto Alfie through a partially destroyed wall. Really difficult line of sight there. There's also the trellises that are just part of that furniture inside of the hooker room as well. Very, very difficult. Lots of things to get in your way there. Great plays from Kendrew.
Yeah, Kendrew really stepping up. I did comment at the time that he maybe wasn't working off all too much information, but perhaps he was, and he knew that there were players going to peek round from billiards over into aquarium. And that's something that you see teams doing quite often, is if the diffuser's planted, then it almost becomes like there's like a line of defence, and there's no real need to breach that line and to aggress onto that remaining defender. You're much better off really trying to hold your angle and guard the diffuser and try to develop some sort of a crossfire, whereas you can defend one another, as opposed to sticking one guy out on his own, losing a 1v1 gunfight, which is pretty much 50-50 at that stage, and then the retake then is much more possible because you are in that 1 versus 1 situation. So from Who Knows' perspective, they could have perhaps done better to maybe get themselves out on repel. The window will have been opened there that looks out onto Tarp's area. You could have got yourselves out onto repel, maybe somebody on Cool Vibes or somebody out onto hooker deck, and it could have been a bit of a different round. But Navi keeping the cool and Kendrew doing the business.
Something that I commented on last game, if you remember, was sometimes the diffuser just going down a little bit too soon. I know they got in and they got their opportunity there, but as you said, X, maybe just not quite set for it in terms of how to handle that retake situation. And they were still having to move around after the diffuser had gone down, which obviously led to them losing the man early there and bringing it back to a 1 versus 1. But that said, that is all done. We've got 3 Navi players who are going to be defending from upstairs. It looks like Citizen, Doki and Kendrew at the minute playing up there. We can see Citizen and Kendrew have swapped operators, with Citizen heading onto the Legion and Kendrew on the Valkyrie instead. He's going to head back down Cool Vibes stairs and look to support Sight a little bit more because they only had Nello in there, so I think that's probably a good move there. Kitchen Service is a very big site to control with only 1 man, so it's going to leave Citizen and Doki upstairs. These 2 are going to have to be cleared out before any attack onto Sight can really be pushed, because otherwise they're going to cause an absolute nuisance of themselves on the flanks.
It just goes to show the flexibility that Navi have got at the disposal, with both Kendrew and Citizen being able to flex off onto each other's operators. You know that there's going to be a Legion there, but if you're thinking it's Kendrew or you're thinking that it's Citizen, you might be thinking of their particular player tendencies and where they like to play particularly, but there's just as much chance with this lineup that it's actually the opposite person as to who you might think it is, and then you've got no idea on how their tendencies are going to be played out. Pie's going to find one over onto Doki, which is a huge kill. Pie is a player to watch, and if he does rack up some kills, then we could see Who Knows picking up some rounds, because we've seen him do great work, particularly in week 1 versus Team Secret. He really was able to rack up the kills in that game. Nello is seeing a lot of pressure now inside of Service as the floor is opened up above him. I think top floor control is largely being gained now by Who Knows, as the players of Navi have rotated back down onto site, or at least down onto the ground floor. We've got Saves playing on the side of Cool Vibe stairs, and Pie and ESL have established themselves upstairs. It's great having top floor control, but what are they going to be able to do with it now? Nathan comes through as well. He does have the diffuser in hand, so he's going to have a ways to go if he is going to look to try and get a plant down. He is, of course, the book, and he's going to use a lot of his shotgun to open up that floor, and there's really going to be nowhere safe downstairs in the site inside of that service area for the remaining players of Navi to play.
Top floor has been absolutely deleted, as you say, with that book. But the thing is, I'm not really seeing too much advantage come from it just yet. It's been open for a good 35-40 seconds now. Citizen allowed to just move round there, get the kill onto Pie, takes out the Claymore, but Alfie will be there watching to clear Citizen out. Saves, however, gets the kill onto Prox. That brings us to 3 versus 3 saves with another onto Alfie. And again, this vertical control just not being utilised at all, really. We can see the Navi players still moving around freely in sight. Nello gets himself a free kill there onto Ace, and also Citizen, one of his goo mines, picks up a kill for him as well. Great top floor control gained by Who Knows. Absolutely deleted that upper floor and had so many lines of sight down into the site that Navi shouldn't have been allowed to move anywhere, but they were still in the last 30 seconds moving freely around site and picking kills up there. Kunos are getting themselves into very good positions. They're progressing very well through the round. They just don't seem to have that final 10% that they need at the minute.
No, it's, you know, we speak about it quite a lot. It's all well and good getting the top floor control, but you've got to be able to do something then with it. And I think that where Saves was playing over on Cool Vibes, there was zero attention paid into Sunrise area or Hooker. If he'd have been pushed out from Cool Vibes stairs, maybe he wouldn't have been allowed to rotate and get 2 kills over onto players inside of lobby area. Citizen, by all accounts, he got 1 kill, but he played super aggressive, nearly running into a Claymore and then getting cut down in a bit of a crossfire. It was a little bit careless, and had Saves not been there to back him up, it could have been a bit different. Now, Citizen knows that Saves is there to back him up, so that's why he's making that risky play, because he understands that he's got back up there, and that's something that Na'Vi do very well indeed. There's almost someone always there to fill the hole left by a player that does die, particularly on defence. I did think that Kendrew had hit everybody with the disrespect and got the no-scope deagle shot to close things out there, but it wasn't quite to be. It would have been quite beautiful if it was, but unfortunately for Kendrew, it wasn't to be. He did pick the round up nonetheless. We do move over now into round number 3, and we are going to see Blue Bar. So, as you rightly predicted, Tim, it doesn't seem as though Penthouse and Theatre is going to be touched at all, and I guess there's no good reason to, really.
No, I wouldn't have expected so. We'll see the Blue Bar defence now, and I'd say whatever happens here, they'll be moving back up to top floor. Nathan just taking himself out with a nade there. I don't know whether that's, I don't know what he was trying to do. He's obviously just trying to cook it to the perfect point and drop it on top of somebody, I'd suggest. But that could be a big loss here because, you know, again, it's a site that there is a lot of destructibility above this site, and getting the buck in there to be able to open that floor up could have been, you know, it's something they could have learnt from the last round, would have been doing something with that vertical control, but that is not going to happen this time with Nathan taking himself out with a frag nade early on. So that leaves us now 5 versus 4, and this is going to be a difficult round for Who Knows, being that they're a man down and Navi looking pretty happy to just play pretty much on site there. Challenge coming in from upstairs onto Nello on the smoke just behind the bar there. He's going to change out. He wants to get the smoke grenade out there. He does get it just in time and will get the kill. How about that? There's going to be an opportunity for Nello to be picked up there. Surely they just need to make sure it's safe and that there isn't another player pushing them vertically. But how about that for playing the reverse angle? Nello opens up the floor and just got that smoke grenade out in time. Pi will get the kill onto Nello, so it's not possible to pick him up, and that will leave us now 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2 as Dorky starts to put some work in with the Alder. Prox with a kill onto Kendrew. Citizen's going to use that outside rotation, will be briefly detected, but he knows that there's a man behind the bomb. He moves round to get the kill and will pick it up. That will finish things off. Third round going to Navi, and that will leave us 3-0.
What a rotation there from Citizen, and he did hit everybody with the disrespect of the no-scope deagle shot to close out the round. Beautiful show of aggression there, and I can't help but think that there was an opportunity to try and get the plant down there for Who Knows, but it just didn't seem to come through. If they'd have had some smoke maybe to cover their entrance into that area, the default spot for planting inside of Sunrise Bar, it could have perhaps been a different story, but so far this is the Navi show as we do sit at 3 rounds to 0. Going back to Hooker Lounge and Billiards, what are Who Knows going to be able to do differently this time? They did manage to get the plant down, and they did find themselves in a 1 versus 2 all the way back in round number 1 when we first saw this site. Are they going to be able to repeat that, or is something going to change? I can already see there that Kendrew's opted this time to play the Pulse.
The success that they saw last time, Who Knows, was getting that aquarium control early. They got the kill onto Saves. They did lose a man doing it, but it was well executed, and they pretty much had the free reign then of the south side of the map. They had luggage under control, aquarium, and they were able to move into sight from there and get the plant down, as you say. But ultimately, Navi just use the gun skill, just use that technical ability to bring themselves back into that. And they're going to have learnt from it as well, so Who Knows are going to need to do something a little bit differently this time. What that's going to be, I'm not sure. I think they certainly need to be clearing out any roamers that they've got. I'm guessing Citizen will probably be off on the roam on the Valkyrie. Potentially Kendrew's going to be downstairs on that Pulse. He's going to be around the Blue Bar Sunrise area. So they need to be clearing him out, because otherwise, as soon as they try for that plant, they're going to find themselves losing a man very, very quickly to a Nitro.
Yeah, 2 nitros is a dangerous prospect indeed. As so who knows, they are keen to try and get that diffuser down, and that is going to be something that is going to work in their favour on these attacking rounds. If they're able to find an opportunity to get the plan down and then defend it successfully, it's going to be a good way of trying to pick up a round against this side. Nathan looks to be making his way into blue bar area. Kendrew, I think, is down there as... Oh no, Kendrew's upstairs, sorry, inside of billiards. So he's going to be able to use his pulse on the reverse almost, but I think Kendrew maybe put some... maybe got detected there, and Nathan put a couple of shots. I think only one of the shots hit, but he is going to be detected nonetheless. Obviously, the heartbeat scanner is going to be showing up on the IQ. I like that deployable shield and the placement there of the floor being shot out, because that's pretty much the default plant spots. That could provide Navi with something to work off there. Not you know, especially working from below. You're going to be able to try and shoot off anybody that is looking to get a plant down. It's not something you see all the time, is the pulse being used upstairs in Hook, but it is providing a lot of information for his team now, as you can see that there are players outside on the balcony destroying the barbed wire, coming on up the stairs, and somebody downstairs inside of Sunrise as well. But Prox will find Kendrew. Kendrew did just look a little bit out in the cold there, as he wasn't all too sure about where he wanted to play. Claymore is going to go down. That could work in their favour, as if we do see a bit of Na'Vi aggression coming through. What a shot there from Nello coming on to Pi. That's a huge kill. Pi had managed to creep his way up the cool vibe stairs, but Nello is lying in wait with the shotgun, ready to do the damage. Toxic Bay canister does go out. He has only got 1 left at this moment in time, with 1 minute and 10 left on the clock. It isn't going to provide all too much deniability. Doki finds one onto Alfie, saves, can see one out on Repel, and does convert that into a kill. Gets traded out straight away, however, by Nathan, as we do enter a 3 versus 2 situation. Citizen still downstairs inside a kitchen. He's got somebody playing over inside a blue bar, oh sorry, inside of Sunrise as well. He's going to cross the door and try and find a sneaky angle through the rack, but doesn't quite manage it. Look at that whip onto their head. Taking out Prox, all of a sudden we are in a 3 versus 1. Nathan has it all to do. He's up on the roof. 35 seconds left to go. What is he going to be able to do? Not a lot. Doki, well aware of his presence, able to cut him down, putting that Alder to good use. Look at this angle here with the deployable shield. It isn't something that you see all the time, and I don't think that Nathan was expecting that when he peeked round the corner.
No, I don't think he was. We had a couple of good elements to that round there. We had sort of a good roam game from Navi. They picked up a couple of kills there out on the roam, but also that angle held by Saves on that double window to get the kill there on the Repel. That was definitely dangerous. And again, who knows? Just seemed to have a lot less direction attacking Hooker there than they did previously. They had a definite plan back in round 1. They got themselves in there. They knew where they wanted to take control, and they went in and got the diffuser down, and they did that very, very well. Unfortunately, lost out to a good bit of individual skill, but this round they just seemed to falter a little bit and didn't ever really seem to find the feet. So moving into round number 5, then we're going to see Navi heading back down to kitchen. Yet to lose on the defence. They are on a 4-0 lead as it stands. We're going to see those operators just changing up a little bit for Who Knows. That's not a lineup that we've seen. We've certainly not seen any Ash or Sledge so far. I'm not sure if we've seen any Zofia. We've certainly not seen much of it. But I mean, what about Nello on the cool vibe stairs there, just absolutely controlling things as a smoke?
And that's where you need to be playing as a smoke. You need to be playing in those close quarter situations where you can quickly peek around the corner and pick up that kill in that close range. You know you're within the 1-shot distance in those sort of parameters. And who better than Nello on the smoke to take advantage of that? Something I'd like to mention, Citizen's feeling pretty good about himself when he gets onto the alibi, because at that point in time he's forgoing the information of the Valkyrie cams. He doesn't need the 3 Valkyrie cams. He's just going to play a little bit nuts, stick a couple of those prismas out there, and really have a bit of a field day with that MX4 Storm.
And that is a dangerous prospect when you get somebody like Citizen, who we saw that absolute whip in the kitchen on the last round. And there we go. You couldn't have called it any better, ex-Citizen, with a double kill jump out. He gets hit with the Nomad, but do you know what? There's nobody within about a square mile to get near him because he's killed them all. That's a quick double kill onto Prox and Nathan for Citizen. So really firing things up for his team. And that was something that I commented that we hadn't really seen so far tonight across all the games, was was that sort of aggression, and it's no surprise to see a confident Citizen going for it. Kendrew just going to drop back down and save his life there. Again, great decision making. The 5-3 up, they really don't need to be pushing those sorts of angles. Ace's connection is going to drop, unfortunately. We're going to see Citizen get his third kill onto Alfie. Is he going to have been denied the ace by a bad connection? He is indeed, as he comes through with the 4K onto Pi. What a round from Citizen on the Alibi. An absolute masterclass there.
I appreciate you, Citizen, for popping off there, because to say that you're feeling pretty good about yourself when you pick that certain operator and then pick up the 4K, it does just go to show the form that you were feeling at that moment in time. Incredible couple of kills there coming through, incredible 4 kills there coming through, and Acel there just having a bit of a trouble with his connection. It is worth saying that he is the substitute this evening. No Thumbs has of course left the lineup for who knows, so Acel is stepping in for this evening. I'm not sure how long he's going to be playing for them as a substitute, and I do believe he lives in Germany, so it could be a bit of, I don't know, a bit of ping or something like that he's struggling with perhaps, but I mean, what an opening 5 rounds.
What an opening 5 rounds. It's been a bit of a masterclass on coastline, and so you know, my words about map choice going out of the window really. You know, Navi just coming in and displaying that, you know, they're sort of jack of all trades, and they're quite happy to play anywhere. They really haven't struggled on any of the sites so far.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect them to struggle on any of the sites, because this is a map that they're very good at. You know, historically when we've seen this roster playing under M&M, we've seen them play in coastline plenty of times, and they are very good at it. It's not a map that is particularly sided one way or the other. I think it's probably one of the most balanced maps. I think I'm not going out on too much of a whim and saying that that it is one of the most balanced maps in the pool, in that it is a fairly equal 50-50 split between attack and defense. There are a lot of bomb sites that are viable for both, so there's no clear winner based on just the map pick in that respect. So you know, you've got to expect Navi to come out and perform pretty strongly on this. They're really going to want to stamp out you know, a good bit of authority over this league and let everybody know who they really are, and you know, that's what they're doing this evening. Absolutely.
And you know, as you said, this takes them top of the table. They don't want to, you know, they certainly don't want to be messing about and letting anybody get a foot in the door, because that's how matches get away from you quite quickly. Is, you know, at first it's 1 or 2 rounds, and then it starts to slip, because all of a sudden you've gone 3-0, you've gone 4-2, and the other team have just got a little bit of a footing, a bit of a foundation to start from. That's not what Navi are going to want here. They just want to get this done 6-0, guaranteed draw by the half, and then come in and just need to pick up 1 attacking round. Yeah, because those the round difference is really going to come into play when we get further on into the season. We spoke earlier about how the round difference can make a big difference mid-table, and that there's going to be quite a distinct battle for mid-table this season, as opposed to last season where it was pretty much just a battle for sort of 1, 2 and 3. Yep. And it was almost fairly clear-cut in that. The level of competition this season has just increased so much. It's almost tenfold. Yep. The way that these teams are coming out and playing, as opposed to previous seasons of Premiership. I feel like there's a lot more teams that are a lot closer together in terms of ability, and Navi are really going to want to try and distinguish themselves from that, being the Pro League side, in trying to really edge that round difference and try and come out, you know, tonight with, like you say, another +5, +6 yep. round, +7 round difference, if that is at all possible. But you know, we can't write who knows off. They're in the position now where they've not got a lot to lose. A yep. break can do wonderful things for either side, and you never know how it's going to affect the mentality when we do move in after the rehost. Well, you've got to look at the roster change as well. They've got No Thumbs has dropped out, you know, through the week. They've got Ace coming in as well. If he stays, great. They get some consistency there, but really, they probably see this as a free week. You know, did they ever expect to come in and take the result from Navi? Everybody likes to think that they can win. Of course they do. But, you know, in the cold light of day, do you expect to come in and win this match? Yeah. Probably not. So make your roster change before this. Take this as a free week, and then you've got 2 weeks to bet a player in, rather than coming into what could be an important fixture come the end of the season in that middle sort of league battleground that you've commented on. And then be struggling because you've only had a player in for 4 or 5 days. So, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a bad outcome for them in that sense. They can pretty much write this off and say, you know what, we've had changes to deal with. It just gives us a bit more time to deal with them. And within having had those changes earlier on in the season, who knows, they're arguably in one of the best positions in the entire standings, because they've played both Secret back in week 1. Now they're getting M&M out of the way, or sorry, Navi out of the way. That's the first one, by the way. That's number 1, calling them the wrong name. They're now getting Navi out of the way in week 3,
So all of a sudden they're left with 4 more weeks now where they're going to be able to play against teams that, let's face it, they're going to be more well suited to playing against. They're not going to be playing against ex-Pro League or Pro League side teams, and they're going to be faced with a much better opportunity to pick up some of those points and to be able to fight for that land spot at the when it does come around.
Absolutely. And I think ultimately, you know, yes, we can look at these games and in a different way they're entertaining to watch. You know, so far, you know, we have seen some real sort of display of skill there from Navi, but on the flip side of it, this is not the game to judge a league by. You know, it's not. You judge a league by the bottom end of the league. You judge a league by its worst teams, if you will. And I hasten to use I don't really want to use the word worst, but you know, that's basically the point that I'm trying to make, is you've got to look towards the bottom end, and if the quality down there is high, and that's what we've seen tonight, you know, and I'm not saying they're at the bottom end, but we've got Demise, Horus coming in as new teams, we've got T3H, we've got Wind and Rain that are all going to be around that mid-table battle, and that's what to judge the Premiership on. And look at the absolute quality that we've seen tonight from even the losing teams. They've all come out and really fought, and that's where we should be judging it.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to be moving now back into the game. We've got all the players in the lobby. I do apologise for that short rehost there. Just wanted to make sure that we had all the rounds correct. We are, of course, sitting on round number 6. It is currently 5 rounds to Navi, and they're going to be taking us back down to Blue Bar.
This might well, you know, it might well suit Who Knows a little bit to have had a bit of a break there and just maybe, you know, just something to interrupt the stride of Navi, who have been flying so far. But you can see that they're taking it reasonably seriously. Citizen's got himself back onto Valkyrie. He's had his fun. He's got his alibi 4K. He's not going to be coming out with that one again. They obviously just want to get this, you know, get the deal sealed and get this 1-1 here to take themselves into the half at 6-0. So we're going to be going back to Blue Bar and Sunrise. We saw a fairly comprehensive victory, but that said, Who Knows did start out a man light. If you remember, Nathan did manage to kill himself with a grenade at the beginning of this one last time. So, you know, if they can keep all 5 on the board and maybe just draw on a little bit more, build a bit more pressure before trying to push onto site, maybe Who Knows can just have a little bit more impact in this round.
Yeah, I'm glad that Who Knows have brought Ying. I'm glad that Nathan's opted to move on to that operator, because I did feel like they just struggled a little bit around that B-bomb area, just in and around where Nello is at this moment in time. They just struggled with having a little bit of cover there to be able to enter on in and try to get the plant off. Once you've got control of that room, and once you've been able to maybe get the wall open or root anybody out from behind bar using vertical pressure, then if you're able to actually get in, you're able to, you know, get the plant off, and you can start thinking about trying to defend that in a post-plant situation. Now, a smoke grenade would be ideal to do that, but a Ying Candela is going to do a very similar job in being able to try and push in and use that as a bit of a beachhead to push in off. If that's the plan, then brilliant. I'm not sure how it is going to be implemented, but Doki was allowed quite a bit of free reign to sit almost in front of the Blue Bar window and just cut players down as they did choose to enter in that B area in Sunrise. So we'll have to see if Who Knows have sort of cottoned on to that and if they're going to be able to adapt in any way for it. We can already hear one Candela moving off, and Prox is going to gain a kill off the back of it over onto Save. Doki seeing some pressure now from the window, but manages to pick that headshot up onto Alfie. You can see the true power of the Alder there. He didn't even have to stop firing as he put a little crouch spam in, and he is going to be allowed to continue playing on inside of Blue Bar. It's going to be difficult to root Doki out of this situation now unless they are able to open up the wall or maybe even get some sort of a Candela in there and blind him in the process. Another player going to peek onto the window. Shots come through from Doki, but only a couple are going to connect. Doki is going to give him a moment's respite and allow him to rotate out. Pi going to grab one over onto Kendrew. So a couple big kills there coming in from Who Knows. What are they going to be able to do with this man advantage now?
That's it. We've seen them get the man advantage previously and not really be able to take advantage of it. So that's something that Who Knows need to change up here. They need to do something with this. They need to think. But Citizen, here's the rappel. And how about that for timing as he moves in? Not every shot landed, but he did get the kill onto Prox. Ace will trade that one out with one of his own onto Doki. That brings us to 3 versus 2. He gets another onto Citizen. And Nello will finish things off for Ace there. But meanwhile, the plant does start to go down. It won't be needed, however, as Pi moves in and gets that first round on the board for Who Knows. And as I suggested, that break maybe just doing Who Knows a few favours there just to slow things down a little bit.
I know you like to talk about your passion for football, Tim, and scoring before the half is always very important. To be able to come back and to pick up a round straight after the break and straight before the turn of the sides is going to be very important for Who Knows, and it could just give him a little bit of motivation there. We do have the scoreboard up there for you. It isn't, of course, going to tell the full story. I think Citizen and Kendrew deserve a couple more kills on their tally there, along with maybe Pi and Alfie. But yeah, we obviously did suffer the rehost, so you can see there. ESL coming in and picking up 2 kills on the Ash, going to get himself over onto the Vigil now, obviously fancying a bit of aggression and a bit of, you know, really bringing the gunfight to Navi. And I think that's going to be one of the ways how they're going to do very well, because if you really, you know, get up in the face and bring the gunfights on defence and not really give Navi much space to work with, you could try and cut them off fairly easily.
So, looking towards round number 7, then we are going to see Who Knows' first defensive phase, and they're going to take the popular site of Hooker and Billiards, see what they can do with it. This is a site that was defended very well by Navi, although Who Knows did manage to get the diffuser down in round number 1, and I'm sure that's going to be something Navi will be looking to do. Now, we've got a slight switch about on the operators that we might normally expect to see from Navi. We know that Doki's been putting in the work on Nomad generally, but Citizen's going to bring in the Nomad instead and letting Doki bring the book, who's no doubt going to look to move in through Blue Bar and Sunrise, clear out any roamers, and then look to apply some vertical pressure to site from there, from the underneath, because it can all be opened up. And if you start opening up, you know, some of the certain areas behind the bar in Hooker, particularly behind the bar in the Billiards area, it does become very difficult for the defenders and forces them out. So 20 seconds in, we're seeing some early aggression here. We've got a Nomad already being placed in the air jab outside of the aquarium to stop any run out there. We're going to have saves, I think, pushing up quite quickly. Ace moving towards luggage, but Pi will get us started with that kill onto Doki. I think Doki was heading downstairs to look to clear out some roamers. That is going to take away that vertical game, and now they need to be aware of any roam game that is left downstairs. So we see a few more operators just moving into that lower floor to see what they can do, but Alfie will shut down Kendrew. That's the Zephyr off the board, and Who Knows starting to bring themselves back into this match a little bit.
Yeah, they've picked up a good couple of man advantage there, and they're going to be looking fairly happy at just being able to sit back now and almost just start holding angles. They've burnt 1 minute and 10 seconds. They've taken 2 of the Navi players for their troubles, and it does seem as though Navi are going to have to do something pretty spectacular now to try and enter onto this site. They've lost quite a lot of soft breach potential, and of course they've lost the Zephyr concussion mines as well. Citizen out on the rappel, just trying to put some shots in, but his location is going to be known. Alfie, I wonder if that was a bit of an aggressive peek out onto saves. It looks like it could have been from the Hooker door. Ooh, Citizen there narrowly missing the headshot. Alfie finding it back onto Citizen, and a second. Citizen and Nello stacking up there a little bit on the Hooker door, and all Alfie had to do was hold fast. Couple of quick jiggle peeks, nearly takes his teammate's head off in the process, but I'm sure he would have forgiven him. And that's going to be another round going to Who Knows. Back-to-back rounds now, and they are in this for the long haul.
You commented on Alfie having a few more kills to his name than showed on the scoreboard before that, and that certainly shows why it was the Alfie show on that round. He really did get stuck into Navi on that one, and that will bring us into round number 8. 5-2 now, and Who Knows just managing to find their feet a little bit and get themselves a little bit more momentum now, especially that they've got themselves onto the defence. They may be a bit more comfortable there, and Navi needing to get in now and get that first attacking win.
Yeah, and it's not something that we tend to see this lineup struggle with. Usually the attacks for Navi are very good, but like you say, a bit of a weird operator choice there for Doki. Much more familiar with seeing him picking up a sledge, as you know, he tends to gravitate towards that operator, certainly in recent times since the addition of Saves. Saves is, however, going to be choosing to jump onto the sledge. No Ash being played, which is a tad unusual. It just, you know, I know
Kendrew on the Zephyr as well.
It's Kendrew on the Zephyr. Doki started to play Nomad a little bit. I know that they've got ability to flex off onto different operators, but it does. I don't know if they're just getting caught a little bit out on the way that they're trying to do it so hard in this game, because it does seem to be every single round is something a little bit different. It's no bad thing, but I'm not sure if it is working for them in its entirety at the moment, as Who Knows are proving quite the force on defence. We reckon we've only seen one round of them, but they have managed to pick up back-to-back rounds after, I think it's fair to say, getting pretty much whitewashed in the first 5. To then pick up 2 back-to-back is a little bit unusual.
It's not easy to break that sort of momentum, you know, especially with a team like Navi. Nello moving in and getting an early kill, though. He's been a little bit quiet since the defence. He didn't really factor too much in the last couple of defensive rounds, and certainly not in that first attacking round. So Nello will be glad to get himself one on the board as the Jackal, I'm sure. The drone's now going to be going in ahead of him to allow just a little bit of information to be fed back out from the site, but we've got some operators on the top floor as well that really could do with dealing with. We've got a Maestro cam, I think it was, just in there being signalled. We've got Prox on the Maestro, and we know that he can be very, very good with that Outer. There goes one of the cams, though, and that will be Kendrew taking it out with that explosive grenade. So looking now to get in there. They don't have any hard breach, so they are going to have to find the way sort of naturally into sight, if you will, using doors and windows and exits that are already in place, unless they can find a soft wall that they can blow open with the final Zofia explosive grenade. We're a minute and a half in. We've lost Ace, and that is about it. 5 versus 4 in favour of Navi.
Prox picking one up there onto save just to level the man count out at the halfway point of this round. Citizen looks like he's going to go for a bit of a rotate, maybe onto Blue Bar or Sunrise window, and just try and apply a little bit of pressure elsewhere, as that is where Prox is playing currently. He's pretty much unchecked, unchallenged over inside that blue area. Kendrew's pushed himself all the way up inside a Blue Bar, and he's going to get this plant down, or at least attempt it. It's tantalisingly close, and the plant has been successful. Now it is a retake situation for the players of Who Knows. Alfie is going to fall. Nello picking up his second kill of the round, followed by a third. 2 versus 4 now. Prox isn't on very much health at all and is going to get downed in the process. All of a sudden it becomes all down to Nathan, as Kendrew is going to give us a bit of a 360. Was that a 360, a 180, a 720? I don't know. It sounds like a skateboard trick at this moment in time. Look at the state of this guy.
I think Nathan had just resigned himself to trying to get the knife kill at that point. I don't know if he was due a reload or not, or whether he'd just given up on life itself. But that will take us to match point in favour of Navi now as they head to 6-2. I think the problem there for Who Knows was they just gave up all the presence on the Blue Bar site. They weren't in a position to be able to challenge that diffuser going down whatsoever.
More typically, you see the wall being opened into courtyard, at least some sort of foot-level holes and a couple of mid-height holes and stuff, and you can try and hold that from the Lamborghini door area. That's more typical of how you would try and defend that side, not just sort of vacate it as the pressure starts to come through from Blue Bar window and office. So yeah, a little bit strange there from Who Knows to sort of give up all of that control of the Blue Bar area and allow the plant to go down in the way that it did. But it does take us over onto match point, and Navi seem to have found their form after the break. We are going to see the same bomb site again, and Who Knows, they're going to have to do something a little bit different this time. I think maybe losing the man very early on didn't do them all too many favours. They did lose Acel in the first couple of seconds to Nello, so that's going to be a lot of the flank potential and a lot of the roam potential removed, you know, in the first couple of seconds of the round. That can really go on to hurt you, and I think that's possibly what happened, certainly the start of their demise in that last round.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the site choice here from Who Knows. They did lose that last one reasonably comprehensively. It was a struggle. So coming straight back onto this site, I'm not sure if that's the best idea or whether maybe giving Kitchen a try could have been a better idea. But obviously, you know, it's easy sat here to comment on those things. You know, hindsight is 20/20 after all. So we are 5 on 5, 10 seconds into this round, and droning is still going on for Navi. They're going to be looking to do probably much the same, I would imagine, and that's going to be to dominate things from that window side. Doki getting the first kill onto Prox, and that is not going to be good with the Maestro. Hopefully his cams are pointing in the right direction at least, but it is going to remove the ability for him to take out any drones or potentially disrupt any plants if that's how they've been positioned. We've got Ace coming for an aggressive run out, but he won't see the Navi player out on the rappel. I'm not sure who that was, but he certainly put some shots into Ace. Doki down on half health with the book, but he has already had one frag, so his job is largely accomplished here. He's going to start to move himself himself in upstairs and make use of that skeleton key, I would imagine. He's got a good drone there in sight, and all this information now being fed back. Navi, I think, reasonably comfortable. They know that Ace is low health. They're down to 3 operators and about 10 HP, so they are happy now to just start formulating the plan, getting themselves into position, and just really getting ready to plant and take any stragglers down that they can on their own.
Yeah, Save's now making his way over into Sunrise entrance, and he's not going to want to get too aggressive onto this, as he doesn't seem to be working off that much information. He's got himself now to a nice position where he can just hold an angle onto the door, and he's going to be waiting for the rest of his team to get in position and to start mixing things up a little bit on in the site. We've got Nathan playing pretty firm behind the bar. Saves finds one over onto Alfie. He's going to destroy that barbed wire and peek over on. I thought he was going to peek out then with his with the breaching round out, but it is not to be. Doki is going to be the one to plant the diffuser this time, as Saves does push through. He gets cut down by Nathan. 2 quick kills come through from Na'Vi. Make that a third. Kendrew closing things out for his team, and we are going to see Na'Vi winning the first game under their new banner, as they do take down Who Knows. I think it's fair to say very convincingly.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair comment. Who Knows put up a good fight there around the switch of the halves and got themselves a good couple of rounds in the bag. And I really thought we were going to see more from them at that point. You know, the rounds that they took were reasonably convincing. They certainly seemed to know what they were doing there, but it, ultimately just, I think, fell out of their hands a little bit there.
It did a little bit, and those 2 rounds that we did see Who Knows win actually were quite convincing, admittedly after a small break as well, so maybe there was that kind of element of surprise coming into it, and the mental state of Na'Vi maybe played into it a bit as well. But it was the dominating performance we saw. Those first 5 rounds, even in the rounds where it looked like they were behind, they were down on numbers, it just goes to show how amazing these guys are. They can go from a 2 versus 4 situation or a 1 versus 2 and still completely turn things around. You can absolutely see why they're a Pro League team.
Yeah, a lot of clutch factor there on that side. You're not really looking at any one person to pick that clutch up or to have that standout performance. Given the day, any of them are able, any of them are capable to be able to do that. We saw Kendrew picking it up. We saw Citizen going nuts, getting the 4K. It's just it's a roster with quite a lot of talent spread across the board, and it is good to see. There's
a couple of times in there as well when I looked at the operators they picked, and I was like, this is not the normal Na'Vi we're used to seeing. Like, what is this? Saves playing on Sledge and Doki going on to Buck? Like, what's happening? The team is showing a lot more flexibility than maybe would have come to expect from them in the past.
I think it's a good opportunity for them when they've got themselves, a few rounds in front like that and they're onto the attack. I think then they can be reasonably comfortable in taking that as a good competitive opportunity to actually try out some new things. Kendrew on the Zofia, we would much, more commonly see Citizen out on the Zofia. Like he's commented, we had Citizen on the Nomad instead of Doki, and they were just really mixing things up, and it just gives them that opportunity. And then if they do find themselves in a situation whereby they need a change, they need to freshen things up, they've got a bit more competitive experience on them operators then.
It absolutely is, and again, you can say it as many times as we like. They're now 3-0 as well. They are sat in that top spot at week 3. It's hard to see how a team can stop them being like this. And I've got to give some credit as well to the man on your screen right now in Citizen, especially in those early rounds. The guy was an absolute monster, just tore through 2-3 members around, almost had that 5K in one round except for that disconnect that came through. The dude's a machine.
Yeah, when you get Citizen on his day, I commented on it at the time, he's obviously feeling pretty good about himself. He's moving on to the alibi. You know that Citizen means business. He gets the suppressor on there, angled or normal grip. It doesn't really seem to matter, and he just goes off and gets a whole bunch of kills, and that's exactly what we saw this evening. But having the peace of mind after the break, because the break came immediately after that, to put that away and to just keep on to the regular operators that you've been more typical of seeing him on, the Valkyries and the Legions and the Bandits and stuff like that, and just to, really understand that, yep, we've gone and had the fun, now we can fall back and now we can still play and we can still keep things pretty serious.
Got to ask as well when it comes down to it, for you guys, who was your player of the match? And just a quick mention to those of you at home, you can of course vote in this one as well, but I'm curious to hear from you guys who really stood out for you then, because it is hard to pick a player out of Na'Vi with how well they're playing, but who would you say really was the standout player for you today?
I think for me, it's Citizen. It's an easy choice there. He had a couple of moments. Kendrew had some important moments as well. I think that'd be fair to say, as maybe a close runner-up. But Citizen, some of them kills, just the crispness of it. I comment on it again. It's that headshot in Kitchen. It's just, I look at my game, and it's not even the same. It's not the same game, is it? You've played with me, Alex.
There's one thing actually. The observer, our general, Alex, pointed out backstage was when Doki was sat playing on the Maestro, sat behind a deployable shield. His reaction times, as soon as someone stepped in front of him, was surreal. He was just like, the fact that you barely even see him and he's still already pulled the trigger is genuinely insane.
Yeah, it is. It is second to none. I think if I was to pick a man of the match for me, it would possibly be Kendrew. Just the 360, 720 pistol kill back in round number 7, I believe it was. Or, yeah, round number 7. Yeah, incredible for me, and I think that's deserved. I think of man of the match.
Very reasonable. Now, I've been waiting a long time, say a year, maybe a little bit longer, to have this kind of opportunity to be able to sit here and talk to this little ball of skill that is constantly popping off every single week. It's, of course, Doki. How you doing, dude? Long time no speak.
Hey, I'm alright, Des. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all, mate. So, talk to me then. 3-0. Did you expect anything different coming into Prem at all?
I mean,
being dead honest,
this is going to be one of our strongest seasons. This is going to be one of our strongest seasons because, I mean, we've just got Pro League, the hype's on us and all that, so not really, no. We know we were going to do well. We're not going to get LAN. We're going for that first place, and looks like we're going to get it.
You're pretty much firmly on the way there, dude. That's very much so true. And talk to me as well. Now, I don't like to sit here and say, obviously you won 7-2, you're a Sublime team, so on and so forth. There were 2 rounds that didn't quite go to plan there. So maybe this is a great chance for you to reveal some weaknesses in the Na'Vi armor. What went wrong in those 2 rounds, and why couldn't you guys pull it back?
I mean, you know, I feel bad to say this about Nello and all that right now, but like past week, man, he's been just not listening at all. His hearing, like I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with his hearing. I think it's because he's a bit older than us. He's going to need like hearing aids and all that. So any rounds that Na'Vi loses in Pro League or in this, like, please, just it's Nello's fault, to be honest. So yeah,
Nello. You always play perfectly, right? It's never down to you at all, right?
Of course, yeah. Come on.
Incredible. So final question for you, mate. 4 weeks to go, and then we are looking towards that playoff spot as well. Now, you guys obviously had that big victory at the last LAN. This was all before Challenger League, all before Pro League came in. Think that #1 spot is yours once again at LAN?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, the competition this season is definitely higher than last season. So, you know, teams like WAR are looking stronger, even though they had a rough game today. It's how it is. Secret, especially with the addition of Feral, that team has skyrocketed since they've got him in. So that is definitely going to be a lot of a closer match if we do play them again. So that could really go either way, to be honest. They are a Pro League standard team. We're a Pro League standard team. It's, you know, we're both great teams. So let's give it a good match, I guess. I
like how we go from answer number 2, where it's all one big meme, and then answer number 3 is quite humble. I just didn't know you had that in you.
What can I say? I got the whole package, you know.
I'm sure you do, mate, and I'm sure you'll have much more package to deliver in the future weeks as well. Cheers for speaking to me, man. Absolute pleasure, and I'll hope to speak to you again next week.
Thanks, guys.
He never changes, does he? No. He's always the same old Doki. You just know what you're going to get with him every single time.
I feel like it demonstrates part of why Na'Vi are probably doing so well. And that's that attitude. It's not just from Doki, from the whole team. You know, when you do see the guys at events and everything, they're always having a laugh, they're always having a bit of fun, and you can see that they really do enjoy the siege, and it shows when they play. It
does, and it's also that element of respect as well, like he does say, and every single time throughout, I don't think I've ever heard an instance where they've turned around and said Secret are a bad team, they're on the down, they're going to bottom out. They've always said this is a team that does deserve to be at the top. Everyone goes through these highs and lows, and although there is all this kind of jokiness wrapped around it, and a bit of fun with it too, they are always very respectful to their opponents, even to guys like Who Knows, like this mentioned earlier on as well. Yeah,
I mean, they're very mentally aware, I think, in that because the margins are so small, it doesn't take much for a great team, or, you know, a good team to become a great team, and having the knowledge that Wind and Rain are a good side, and they've probably just fallen on the side of a rough night, and they've been caught out by 1 or 2 things. They're not thinking about that and thinking, oh, you know, we'll walk over them when the time comes. They're thinking, we've still got to focus up, you know, when the time comes to play these guys. And the same with Team Secret as well. They are a Pro League team. But there is no real 2 ways about it. They've been in the Pro League. They've got a very similar roster now, as he said, with the addition of Feral, arguably even stronger. And they'll be making a run up Challenger League, I'm sure, in the future. And I'm I'm not sure which week it is, but I'm looking forward to Na'Vi Secret.
A little bit later on that will be. But let's have a quick review of today's results. If you tuned in late, then of course here is how things have stacked up. And I think it's pretty fair to say that either of those 2 first matches could have been our match to watch, but it was 7-4 to T3H over Demise. Horus, newcomers, beat Wind and Rain 7-5, and of course we have just witnessed a very dominant performance from Na'Vi, winning 7-2 over Who Knows. And if you are wondering where that final game is, once again, Exilium versus Secret. Secret are currently playing in the Las Vegas Minor, so are unable to be here tonight, but that game will be played at an alternative time. Gotta say, guys, we spoke at the start of this and said that we've seen a lot of close matches, a lot of draws coming through. Not a single draw on the board tonight.
No, not at all. We've had some convincing wins there, but for me, them two first matches, you know, as much as, like I said, you know, it is enjoyable to watch Navi come out and put on a bit of a masterclass like that. For me, them two first matches, what an advertisement for the Premiership. If you've not watched it before and you've just tuned into them two, you're going to be going away thinking, I'm back next week, because Demise and Horus both played the parts there. Differing results for the two of them, unfortunately, but they both played the parts and, you know, cracking games.
Absolutely, and again, it comes to show that there is a lot of quality talent here in the UK as well. There were these two teams that couldn't quite qualify over other teams, but have still come in and made a huge impact. Just goes to show you how exciting the rest of this competition will be. Let's take a look then at the standings as well, so you know currently where everybody sits. And as fully well expected, it is Na'Vi sat at the top at the minute with 9 points and a +4 team round difference, followed by T3H, Team Secret, Win and Rain, Horus, Who Knows Demise, and of course Exilium, who we will see play at a later date. And I've got to say, it does feel like we're starting to get an idea of who's going to sit in these top 4 spots, but you just have the feeling that teams like Horus will be forcing that 4th place team to sweat a little bit come in the future weeks, given how they played today.
Yeah, I think that if there's a team you really don't want to underestimate, it's Horus and how much they're going to prepare, because we saw it in Clubhouse. They pretty much prepared an entire new bomb site in bar and stock and brought it out, and it works pretty much flawlessly. So the preparation on their side is something really not to be underestimated, as they're going to put a lot of time in outside of this as well, you know, in terms of practice and stuff like that. So yeah, that mid-table, it really is all going to be about that, and it's going to be interesting to watch those battles as they come through as to who gets that 4th and 3rd spot.
And that's what you always want, especially coming towards the end of the season. Yes, we are only about halfway through, but still so much more to come. Now let's take a quick look at next week's games. After the action we've seen today, which of these fixtures jumps out to you saying that's potentially your match of the week?
I think Who Knows Wind and Rain is going to be a good game next week. I really do. I'm very interested to see Horus against Navi. We've seen a great performance from Horus this week, as we've said a couple of times now. So to see just how they stack up against the big boys, so to speak, is going to be very interesting. And I'd say the same of the Demise Secret game as well. Again, those two teams I really want to keep an eye on, because this is their opportunity. You know, they've been through the qualifying process. They didn't make it. They've got themselves here now. And if they can get themselves to LAN, they come back next season without having to go through that qualifying quagmire, more than likely. So, you know, this is their chance to establish themselves now.
It is, and I've got to say that Demise game again, as you said rightly there as well, Horus and Demise are two teams we need to keep a very close eye on. Now, same for Horus to beat Na'Vi is a bit of a stretch. Not so much after today's performance. If they catch Na'Vi sleeping, that could be the potential time they're looking at their first draw, or even worse, potentially a loss.
Yeah, there's always the possibility. I think it'll be on Horus to do plenty of preparation and to really try and take Navi to a map that they know that they've got a good chance on, and that, you know, a map that Horus is actually quite good at as well is going to really give them a bit of a boost, not just a map that maybe Navi aren't so comfortable on. I mean, you've got to find one first. It isn't that easy. But yeah, they've certainly got a fighting chance, and if they play the way that they did this evening and they just manage to tidy a couple of things up, then they're certainly going to pick up some rounds next week.
And I'm very excited to see how that one plays out. But that is the end of the festivities for week 3 of the ESL Prem. Of course, a huge thank you to these two wonderful gentlemen and star players. If you hadn't already heard about it 5,001 times. Enjoy E3, by the way, boys. Really hope you have a good time there. And as I said, that is the end of this done and dusted. Of course, a huge thank you to our sponsors who make this all possible as well. Intel, Gaming from Curry's PC Word, PaySafeCard, and AOC Gaming. You guys are the real MVPs. We love you. Thank you so much. That is the end of week 3. We'll be back again at the same time next week for week 4. Not one to miss, as we have an absolute belter of a game to kick things off. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.
Think she can't get a last-second clutch? Watch this. Think he can't carry his team while streaming in high resolution? All the while recording a once-in-a-lifetime win? Watch this. Think leveling up only happens in-game? Watch this. On Intel Core i7, they'll rise to every challenge. Now it's your turn. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.